Welcome to the opening session of this Pure Worship Regional Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now,
join in the Kingdom Song.
that was shipped.
Welcome.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, current live stream host, and assembly/convention analyzer. Like I said, I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and now every Sunday I like to check in with my old cult Jehovah's Witnesses and see what they're up to. And what they're up to these days is their annual summer convention series. I got all 3 days of it sent to me, a leaked copy. So shout out to a special physically and mentally out member of Jehovah's Witnesses who hooked me up with the stream information. And I had to dress up, folks. I had to dress up because it's the convention. And, you know, I wanted to kind of give across a disheveled ExJW vibe. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you've never been a Jehovah's Witness, every year they have a themed convention series all around the world. Jehovah's Witnesses convene in, okay, so in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio, a lot of joining cities, all of their Kingdom Halls of Jehovah's Witnesses would rent out a stadium in kind of a localized area, and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday program full of talks that are given based on outlines provided by Watchtower. All of the talks that we'll see little snippets of are not just these individual members of Jehovah's Witnesses speaking of their own volition. They're all directed by Watchtower pre-approved outlines. And most important for our interests here today, we're going to be looking at their propaganda videos that they make specially for the convention. That's a big part of the appeal, is that, you know, you don't have a lot of entertainment options as a Jehovah's Witness. So every year you kind of get some new shows to watch. You get to meet some new characters that you'll get to rewatch over and over again on jw.org. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. The season of destroying local hotels and restaurants. Yes, absolutely. And you are supposed to be, as a Jehovah's Witness, dressed up at all times with your little name tag on. Damn it, if I was thinking, I would have put on a name tag. But all in due time. Today, I'm hoping to get through, at the very least, Friday morning. I mean, these programs run from, like, 9 to 4, basically. They're very long. There's a lot of stuff packed in them. And so I don't want to watch all of the individual talks. I'll save that for main channel content. But I do want to get a little bit of context as to what we're going to see, and then we'll see it, and I will pause and react a lot, probably. So, and at some point this jacket will come off. That's not, like, an exciting announcement necessarily. That's just literally probably going to happen, because it's been a while since I've had a suit jacket on, to be honest. It's a little uncomfortable. Do I sound okay? We all doing all right before we jump in here? I think so. I'm just going to kind of go for it. Now, this gentleman here who said hello to us, I believe that he narrates a lot of the videos on jw.org. Let me do this. Ooh, no. I don't think we actually want to listen to the music. The music is kind of a bummer, actually. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, I should have set this up better. The way that the programs start, like you go into this convention center, You are assisted in finding your seat. We saw some attendant training last week. The attendants, JW attendants, very important job. They'll show you to your seat, make sure you get settled in, and then kind of like going to the theater, music is going to start to play, and that signifies places everybody 10 minutes and the program's going to start, and so everybody has to find their seats. But really, you're supposed to be AIS, ass in seat, 10 minutes before, so that you can sit and watch on the Jumbotron this pre-recorded propaganda video play with music custom made for the convention. It's part of the spiritual program. But I don't want to hear this because sometimes this music's a little triggering to my childhood. So let's see. There's some royalty-free background music on StreamYard we could play in the background. Let's see. This is called Acoustic Cinematic. This kind of sounds like wandering around a town in Skyrim. Dance pop? Yeah. Okay. Are we hearing that? Is it too loud, too quiet? Whoa! Very different vibe. So this is just emphasizing that Jehovah's Witnesses have this very big corporate structure with all of these branch facility offices that they're able to use to generate their propaganda. So this gentleman here is doing the, whatchamacallit, the American Sign Language, or I guess not even necessarily American Sign Language, but sign language recordings. They have a lot of materials for deaf people, and it's very expressive. I mean, he's really getting into it, lifting shit, kind of rapping, killing someone with a spear. Presumably that's what he's doing. Good question, by the way, from Brian Boer. There are indeed district and circuit overseer manuals. You can find old circuit overseer manuals on avoidjw.org. They're pretty boring for the most part, but I don't think we have any recent ones. So yes, they do exist. Recording music, probably recording this wonderful techno music that we're listening to right now. See? Not AI, they're not using AI, real people, reading like robots. Many different languages. Ah, and here's the real main attraction, is the governing body members of Jehovah's Witnesses. This music is kind of bumming me out. How about, what's Feeding the Ducks? That's what this is called. Little claps. This one's just called Rock. Yeah. No, this is perfect. This is what we want for Stephen Let's Face. Yeah, look at all these guys. We're clapping so hard. It is interesting how when you take away the sweeping Dragon Quest music, as somebody put it in chat, and replace it with something else, it changes the vibes. It's very multicultural. Everyone wears costumes. Thank you, Dr. Shem, for the 99-cent super sticker. I'm really enjoying the rock music underneath this, by the way. Okay, this seems like it might be boring. I want to figure out what's going on with this guy in the wine, though. Okay, so family worship. This is what you're supposed to do if you're a family within Jehovah's Witnesses. You're supposed to sit around and talk about JW stuff together and smile and nod, look over the publications and homoerotic paintings of Jesus, and just stare at your daughter creepily. And then there's this guy in the middle. We don't really know what's going on with him. He's at the memorial where Jehovah's Witnesses pass but do not partake of the wine and the bread unless they're going to heaven. It's a long story. We don't have time to get into it. But maybe this guy thinks, man, I should be drinking that wine. I think I am one of the 144,000 folks about to go to heaven. I want to see if we happen to get any kind of context from this. Okay, that's enough rock music.
Yes, God's way is love.
So I think these are JW elders encouraging her to probably be more witnessy, if I had to guess. They're probably not discouraging her from being witnessy. Okay, no, that's terrible. I can't listen to that. Let's go into space. That's what this music's called. So now she is partaking in the manual labor of Jehovah's Witnesses, making the branch facilities, publishing plants, chemical plants. No, I don't think they have any of those. But just doing some good old-fashioned unpaid labor for the group. Oh, no. Family worship at my parents' house usually devolved into my stepfather screaming at us about how we're not listening to him enough. That sounds good and healthy. This guy doesn't feel appreciated, I think. Okay, this is an important part. If you're a gentleman, if you're a fella within the organization, an important part of your week to week is doing shit for the congregation. If you run a microphone, adjust the stage microphone, work on the sound equipment that adjusts the various volumes of various microphones. I mean, that's all part of your week to week. If you're a baptized brother in good standing, generally speaking, women are not supposed to be doing this. And so there's some kind of story that's unfolding here that probably syncs up to the lovely music that we're not listening to. Where this guy's, he's encouraging this young fella about holding the microphones. Now, this is not how the microphones worked at my congregation. It was not a big microphone on a pole. It was just one microphone, and it was like, take one down, pass it around. It was 99 bottles style. Okay. Just a nice little lifestyle moment there. This person has received an invitation to the Kingdom Hall, slipped in their door by a Jehovah's Witness, and they're obviously super excited to arrive. I mean, maybe not obviously super excited. This is the vibe? Ah, now the love bombing begins. Now you can tell that this girl is not a Jehovah's Witness because she has kind of a funky braid. Kind of an interesting hairstyle that's... It might draw attention to herself. That's not considered modest. But now Jehovah's Witnesses know that they're not allowed to have that kind of hairstyle because they've just showed it on the bad example. On a pre-Jehovah's Witness. Oh, I see. There is always a proper order to do things, including which microphones to bring to whom whence. I mean, that's kind of your way in. Like, you go to a meeting, and then you're love bombed. Everybody says, oh my god, it's so amazing to have you here. This is so wonderful. This is the most loving place on earth. And then after a little while, you start giving comments because there's audience participation. It's a little embarrassing, but maybe that embarrassment bonds you to the group a little bit. You feel like you're progressing and accomplishing something. And that's kind of the slow on-ramp into cultdom. Cultdom. Please tell me we're almost done with the musical introduction. Oh, God. All right, we might have to start skipping forward here. Oh, boy. Yes. So these are Jehovah's Witnesses undergoing persecution in Russia, presumably. But they're enduring and studying the Bible and praying and such. Okay. Yeah. So this is our first main talk. Let's get back from space. I think we're done being in space. I may have made an edit. I didn't pre-watch any of these talks, but I may have pre-made an awkward silent supercut. I can tell you that this guy blathers on for quite a long time before he gets to any fun, stream-worthy propaganda, so... we're a solid half hour into the program before our first glimpse. Well, we got a glimpse. To be fair, we got a glimpse of the governing body, but now this is a proper sit-down chat with the governing body.
That question in the following.
All right, he's going to set up. What are we going to watch in the following video? What should we notice?
So yes, Jesus upheld pure worship from the very start of his ministry. In fact, these three passages
Thank you, Maria.
that we just read, which contain the theme of a text of each day of our convention, all relate to Jesus' ministry during the months after his baptism. You know, those important months during which Jesus highlighted the key principles regarding pure worship will be vividly depicted in episode 2 and 3 of the Good News According to Jesus, which will be shown at this convention. Now, how will those episodes
I think he's close enough. Close enough for jazz,
with
in my
our
opinion.
convention theme? Listen, as Brother Samuel Hurd of the governing body answers that question in the following video.
Your Honor, I'm just a simple Alabama man come to town on a hayseed, leaving on a donkey. And all I know is we got to sit back and listen to this Sam Hurd. Now, I think we're about to hear Sam Hurd of the governing body, I do declare and believe that that's what he said. And when we check in with Sam Hurd, we like to remember his most famous thing he ever said. Because sometimes, yes, he goes by Samuel, Sam Hurd, but he also goes by another name.
Mommy, when I get out, call me Sammy.
All right, so Sammy's coming up here. Ooh, ripple effect.
On behalf of the governing...
Ooh, he's talking very quiet. And just, I mean, let's get a side-by-side. He's looking very wizened with his beard. Here's mustachioed Sammy.
Mommy, when I get out...
And then here is a fully bearded Samuel. I think we were dealing with Sammy before. I wonder if he still wants to be called Sammy now that he's kind of like Gandalf the White.
Body, I warmly welcome you to the...
He
Pure
warmly
Worship
welcomes us.
Convention.
Personally.
Last year's Declare the Good News Convention was epic.
Epic.
What will this year's
It
convention
was
be like?
epic.
Our convention will be based
Dubs in the chat for the good news according to Jesus.
largely on the first few months of Christ Jesus' ministry. This pivotal period is depicted in episodes 2 and 3.
Oh
of the
my
Good News
god. So we're going to see, last year they released part 1 of like a 8 to 16 part insane movie saga that they're making about Jesus. You know, Christ, ever heard of him? Well, they made a movie about this fella, and obviously it's the most accurate biblically. It's really the only good movie about Jesus that anyone's ever made, because The Truth, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're making the movie. And so he's going to drop in some little teasers about the upcoming Jesus film that we're going to watch. And he said the word pivotal earlier. And that reminded me that I forgot to tell you something pivotal about this stream. And it's that I took an edible before we started. And it's very possible that it's kicking in right about now. So that's another just important piece of information to keep in mind.
According to Jesus. Episode 2 will be shown in
Attack
2 parts
of the Clones.
today and tomorrow. Episode 3 will be shown in its entirety on the final day of our
Final.
convention.
Motherfucker, don't think we're
You
going to
might be
show it in
wondering.
the middle.
Since our program again revolves around Jesus Christ, why
He is
did
giving
the
Papa
governing
Smurf
body
vibes.
choose as the theme of this convention
The theme.
pure
Oh.
worship? Consider what happened when Jesus turned 30 years of age.
He had a birthday
That
party?
was the year he got baptized.
Whoa.
Jesus' baptism was a pivotal moment.
Oh, it's
He became-
pivotal. It's just as pivotal as that edible that we talked about a little bit earlier.
The Messiah. He started to preach and to teach.
He's got some things to
And
tell you, and he's going to
that
tell you with
day,
his index finger.
Jesus began a life fully devoted
Whoa.
to pure worship. In fact, what Jesus said and did during the first few months of his ministry teaches us what pure worship is.
God damn it. Now you listen to me. I'm going to skip forward a little bit.
Feels that way. Consider what Jesus told the Samaritan woman as recorded at John 4:23. The hour is coming.
No. Don't read the Bible.
And Jesus says
Boring.
that Jehovah is looking for you. Yes, he's eager to train each one of us, not only to start walking on the path.
Well, he's itching. He's waiting on the sidelines, rubbing his greedy mitts together like, oh, I can't wait to help him out. But they just have to be a Jehovah's Witness.
Pure worship, but also to continue walking on that path.
Ozempic kind of sounds like a
In just
tribe
a
you
few
might read
minutes,
about in the Bible.
We'll see episode 2.
And Hezekiah
of the Good
defeated
News
the
According to
Ozempians.
Jesus, Part 1. As you watch the events unfold, think about these questions. What can we learn from the role that John the Baptist played?
John the Baptist, genuine stud in this movie, by the way. They've showed some clips, and he's got big muscles. The gun show has arrived in town, and he is selling 2 tickets. Not a great business plan, but I think he's going to sell them because he's looking cut. And some people in chat are pointing out that a Jehovah's Witness would be judged very negatively if they waited until the age of 30 to be baptized. And in my experience, anybody who brought up this point, like, hey, well, Jesus waited until he was 30, the elders would respond, well, you're not Jesus. And that was also their comeback for beards. But obviously, as we can see from Sam Hurd's face, they caved on beards.
What can we learn from Jesus' baptism, including Jehovah's own words on that occasion? What can we learn from Jesus' responses to the devil's
Why is he upset?
temptations?
Calm down. Everyone's here to see you,
There's no greater
Sam.
privilege in the
Sammy.
universe
Whoa.
than to worship the only true God, Jehovah.
I mean, they say that, but that's kind of cheating, because it's not like Jehovah's Witnesses or most human beings really get a chance to leave the planet. So they could just settle with that, like, it's the greatest privilege on the planet. But they're like, no, in the universe. And it's like, are we sure about that? We were just rewatching the television show Ahsoka, in which they find a map to an entirely different universe, a different galaxy. I mean, is it the greatest privilege there? In that other galaxy where Thrawn is?
In fact,
These are the kind of questions they're not going to
that's
get
our
to, folks.
purpose in life. May this convention move all of us to worship Jehovah acceptably and to stick
Good
to
question.
pure worship forever.
Stick to it. Sticky. That was necessary. They couldn't have just had this guy. They couldn't have had the sheriff of Alabama say these exact same words. They had to bring out Sammy himself in a chair with a trippy green screen background to say those very boring words. All right, I'm going to spare us. And I'll tell you right now, I think we are going to get through Friday because I've now fast-forwarded 40 minutes into Friday AM, and we're just getting to our second little video here.
Talk will then contrast worship that Jehovah considers futile with the worship of those who remain in Jehovah's great spiritual
The water of
temple.
life.
Also, as in previous years,
You know what? Before we get into this, does anybody have to take a quick water break? I think I'm going to take just a little sip of water, and we like to play a sound drop to cover up any slurping sounds.
My church had been giving me ass to drink, but now I was freely receiving, the water of life.
I'm sorry. And we always apologize after we play it because it's disgusting and it's kind of unacceptable.
You'll see dozens of videos including experiences of our brothers and sisters.
Well, I tell you, folks, dozens of videos.
Dramatizations of realistic situations. You know, would you like to see a brief
Realistic situations. Okay, so they have set this up. Well, we're about to see realistic.
sampling of what we will see?
Please clap for me. Wait, this is just like a montage? I think what he set up is we're about to see a little hype montage of everything we're about to see. I don't even know if I want to see this. I don't want to get hyped. I don't want to see a trailer. This is like now when you click on a movie trailer, it shows you a 5-second mini trailer before just the trailer itself. Yeah, we don't need that. I think what we want to see is the good news according to Jesus Christo.
Serve him with righteousness as pure worship.
Yeah, no spoilers, please.
We're in pure worship and as worshipers as well. So may all of us enjoy this spiritual banquet.
May we
move
all enjoy
all
it.
of us to champion
May
pure
we.
worship in imitation of the Messiah, Jesus Christ.
The trees.
Now, are you ready to see episode 2 of the Good News According to Jesus?
Please clap. Continue to clap for Jesus.
Part 1 begins now. It is entitled,
Part 1 is entitled
is my
Part
son.
2. So this is episode 2, part 1. It's getting confusing. This is like when you get into old Star Wars Legends books and it's like, New Jedi Order Part 1, Eclipse Part 3, Trials. And it's exactly like that. I unpaused it, so this is just the movie. That whole time we were panning down. Truly, like,
In the
you guys need to
15th year
understand,
of the reign of Tiberius Caesar,
when we were witnesses, this was the most exciting thing that
when
happened all year.
Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea, Herod was district ruler of Galilee, Philip, his brother, was district ruler of the country of Iturea and Trachonitis.
Oh, good. So they're just... Alright, so my criticism of the first one was that it really felt like somebody reading the New World Translation of the Bible over slightly above average B-roll that they filmed. And they did not take my notes under advisement, it would seem. So that's still just what's happening, is they're reading the most boring parts of the Bible about who begat whom, and just the various names of kings that you'll never remember. Cool.
And Lysanias was district ruler of Abilene.
Yes! Like that Ahsoka show I was talking about earlier.
In the days of chief priest Annas and of Caiaphas,
Weaponized boredom, indeed.
God's declaration came to John,
Wow.
the son of Zechariah.
John has a real fancy stick. I mean, that certainly isn't something they just bought at the store that already looked like that. That's just what John's favorite stick would have looked like.
In the wilderness.
That's from the Bible.
This man came
Look at
as
his
a
guns.
witness
Look at these guys. Look at his arms.
in order to bear witness about the light,
Whoa.
so that people of all sorts
Whoa.
might
People walking in
believe
water.
through him. He was not that light.
Is he hearing the scriptures that we're hearing? Is that why he's getting excited? Because without this, it's just a guy flashing back to times when he baptized people and their feet and getting all excited.
But he was meant to bear witness about that light.
I can't wait to bear witness about the light. Yay! Hey, the Baptists, come on. You got baptizing to do. Here we are, Old Baptism River, where John the Baptizer was waiting to do his favorite thing in the world. You know it. Dunk some folks. Hold them underwater, make sure their feet don't pop up. That's an important part of this, by the way. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, they're very focused on the fact that Jesus was fully immersed in water, so they really talk shit about churches that just do a little sprinkle. They're like, nope, that's not what it says in the Bible. But they're so focused on it that, like, if your feet pop up a little bit, they'll be like, no, we gotta redo it. Your whole body wasn't underwater at once. Underwater? Underwater. Underwear?
In those days,
Everyone was white.
John the
In those
Baptist
days, everyone
came
was
preaching
pale.
in the wilderness of Judea.
Repent,
Who said that?
for the kingdom of the heavens has drawn near.
Oh, right. So everyone's Australian in this, too. They filmed it in Australia and used the local JW Union of Australian Actors, their guild. So everybody has thick Australian accents. And I can't really do one of those. I'll work on it. But so far, it's rough.
So he went into all
Why
the
are we
country around the
doing
Jordan, preaching baptism.
This is just so lazy. Like, they could have written a fun scene, some dialogue, John talking to some people, but they don't want to do that because, like, aesthetically, they like to present themselves as, we do not add anything to the Bible, so we're not even going to add some fictionalized scene that takes place within the world of the Bible. Nope, this is too sacred, so we're just going to have a narrator read the text of the New World Translation specifically, because it's the best, because it adds the name Jehovah to the Bible, including lots of times in the New Testament where it has no business being, according to false religions. And so, yeah, we don't get any characterization that's not already in the Bible, which almost makes you wonder why you'd bother doing it. If you're not actually going to dramatize the events of the Bible, then why spend all this money? And I heard some talk, maybe somebody can correct me on this. I heard that maybe Jeffrey Jackson gave a talk acknowledging the fact that they spent a bunch of money on the Jesus drama. Can we confirm or deny this? I don't want to spread rumors.
For forgiveness of sins. Just as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet.
Isaiah. That's how you know they're Australian.
In the wilderness.
Isaiah.
Prepare the way of Jehovah.
It's not pronounced Isaiah, nor.
Make his
No, I
road
can't do
straight.
it. That was terrible, and I apologize.
Every valley must be filled up.
And the Bible isn't gay, okay? There's nothing gay about anything that ever happens in the Bible. Not the obsession with washing other men's nasty little piggies. Washing right between their toesy-woesies. That's not gay, and this isn't gay. And nothing about the Bible is homoerotic, and it's totally acceptable that we're anti-LGBTQ.
And every mountain and hill leveled. The crooked ways must become straight.
Isaiah!
And the rough ways smooth.
The rough way is smooth. Damn, baptism montage.
And all flesh will see.
He's baptizing them like
the
hotcakes.
Salvation of God.
Like it's going out of style. Save some for the fishes, John the Baptist.
Now John was clothed with camel's hair. And
Yes,
had
this is a
leather belt
special
around his waist.
event because it's the assembly
His
slash
food
convention.
was locusts and wild honey.
Guys, he did it. He said the thing. He's eating wild honey. I always thought that was the coolest thing John did. John did. Well into the evening, he's dunking men underwater. Lines around the block.
Then the people of Jerusalem and all Judea and all the
Baptisms
country around
here.
the Jordan
Step right up,
were
get your
going out to him.
baptisms.
Me and my dad and some of our guy friends, we would go on a baseball road trip every year. We were trying to hit like every MLB park in the United States. And at one of these parks, I think it was at the Pittsburgh, I think it was at the Pirates Stadium, I think. There was this guy selling lemonade going around, and he went, lemonade! Lemonade! Like, that was the way he talked. And it just sounded painful. And so I like to think that that's what John the Baptist sounds like. Like, baptism's here, come on now.
And they were baptized by him in the Jordan River.
He's
openly
baptized a couple
confessing
ladies.
their
Look at this
sins.
right now. That honey was wild, yo. Okay, some scary music is playing. The Pharisees are coming by. These are the bad guys. The Pharisees, of course, started inventing all sorts of strict moralistic rules that maybe attain to the letter of the law, but not the principle of the law, like making people avoid blood transfusions because the Bible said something about eating blood with your mouth one time. And veins are the same as mouths, and that technology definitely, if it would have existed, would have been banned by God. So that's what the Pharisees were like, so they're the bad
When
guys.
he caught sight of many of the Pharisees and Sadducees coming to the baptism,
You're kidding.
he said to them,
You offspring of vipers! Who has warned you to flee from the coming
How about
wrath?
say hi first? Was this unprompted? Or did they say something first? It was just like, you vipers! Viper, no viping. Is that something?
when he caught sight of
Snack.
many of the Pharisees and Sadducees
Snack is not
coming to
friend
the baptism,
in the Bible.
he said to them,
You offspring of vipers!
He couldn't even say.
Who has
He has
warned
to,
you
like, the narrator has to say.
To
he
flee
said-
from the coming wrath. Therefore produce fruit.
Vipers!
that
A
befits
dingo ate my
repentance.
baptism! Sorry. I apologize.
Do not presume to say to yourselves,
Presume.
We have Abraham as our father. For I say to you, that God is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones.
Ooh, thank you for the
The
gifted
axe
memberships, QC Man
It's already
2000.
lying at the root of the trees.
If anybody wants to contribute to
Every
the
tree, then,
rent is
that does
due
not
funds,
produce fine fruit
that's a great way to do it.
is to be cut down
Do it.
and thrown into the fire.
Oi, Pharisees! I'll throw you in the fire, I will. This guy walked up, said absolutely nothing the entire time, and is now walking away without speaking. At no point did the Pharisee do anything villainous, say anything threatening. This is not great storytelling, in my opinion. We don't have any reason to hate the Pharisees. True.
And the crowds were asking him,
What then should we do?
Let
Yeah.
the man who has 2 garments
Oh, just wait. Just you
share with
people
the man who
wait.
has none. And let the one who has something to eat do the same.
That's the real big
even
addition to
tax
the
collectors came to be
Bible canon.
baptized.
Teacher,
Thank you, Soft
what should
Knocker.
we do?
I didn't. I have seen that We're Just Regular Men clip with the puppets. I mean, I love that. But no, I guess I wasn't a Wiggles guy, a Woggles guy. It's a Woggles.
Do not demand anything more than the tax rate.
This thing is going to make
Also,
bank in Australia.
Those in military service were asking him,
What should we do?
That's not a
Do
nine.
not harass anybody.
That's not a
Or
cross.
accuse anybody
This is a
falsely,
bloody cross.
but be
But they don't
satisfied
believe
with
in the
your
cross.
conscience.
I love this
now
fit,
the
this
people
blue
were in
cape.
expectation.
That looks like our bedroom, like, comforter set.
And all of them were reasoning in their hearts about John.
Just blankets. Just
May
blankets
he
that they tied
perhaps
around
be
their
the
neck, really.
Christ?
freshly
John
worn
gave the
outfits,
answer.
too. They bought these
to
today, never wore them before,
for
and
my part.
immediately retired them.
Baptize you with water.
And even though John the Baptist has
One
been in the
stronger
water
than
all
I
day,
in
his
his
clothes
body.
are not wet.
The lace of whose sandals I'm not worthy to untie.
He literally walked
He will
out of the
baptize
water
you
to
with
get
Holy
up here, and
Spirit.
he's not wet at all.
And with fire. His winnowing shovel is in his hand.
I'm keeping a close
Clean
eye on
his
the
threshing
wetness of this
floor
movie,
completely.
and I'm not going to let him off the hook.
And to gather the wheat into his storehouse. But the chaff, he will burn up with fire that cannot be put out.
I think we know the answer to this. The question is, did Watchtower put him on one of those crazy diets that they put on, like for Henry Cavill or Chris Evans or those guys, when they have to just totally beef up and look like gods in the span of 6 months while they're prepping for a movie? Like, do they have to drink a weird gelatin in the morning and then 3 steaks and 5 dozen eggs every morning to help them get large? Is it like that? Just a little sprinkle, just a little dust. Little dust up. A wee dust up for John the Baptist. And now he is sadly and bittersweetly baptizing people. I'll be real with you, minus the guns, minus the insanely jacked physique and chest hair, this guy looks a lot like my friend when I was a witness, who was the best man at my wedding. And it's making me laugh a
He
lot.
also
thinking
gave
of
many other exhortations.
because of that edible we
Continued
talked about
declaring
earlier.
good news to the people.
Wait, did he just say the catchphrase of this stream? Guys, he just said the good news. And we're not going to do this every time, but, you know.
Now, moving on, we see the good news wherever we are.
Just had to play that. They bet big on Jesus, and I don't know. I don't know that it's going to pay off. God. I mean, literally, Jesus Christ, but this has been 20 minutes of a guy just dunking people underwater over and over again, stopping briefly to give a mean monologue to the Pharisees, even though, as far as we're concerned, as viewers of the film, these never did nothing wrong to nobody, the Pharisees. They just walked up, got read for filth by John the Baptist, who was having a total crash out for reasons we're not told. Why is he so hot? Why is he so desirable and hot? This is not just me, right? We all are kind of feeling something for John the... Speaking of Superman, this is shot like Man of Steel. The, like, close-ups with the gauzy backgrounds on Americana, but it's, like, the Judean hills. Chekhov's Pharisee. If a crocodile popped out of the water and started singing, like, Muppet Treasure Island, this movie would be 10 times better. Just polishing up my chair. Like Jesus. Just polishing his wood, that's all. And I believe this is Jesus Christ our Lord. Who, if you haven't seen him, and you thought John the Baptist was a stud muffin, this guy is like an entire stud breakfast buffet. And he has slightly more of a tan than the other very white disciples and apostles and Bible characters. Outback Torture Steakhouse. What do I win? What do I win for that pun?
Then Jesus came from Galilee to the
For no reason. They didn't even bother to craft a kind of narrative where Jesus hears word of John the Baptist and is like, I think I'll go see that cool, not gay guy who spends his entire life holding men, cradling them gently in his enormous arms and dunking them underwater and then giving them a little kiss on the forehead.
To John.
The prodigal
In
son
order to be baptized by him.
is like a Jimi Hendrix guitar solo compared to this.
But the latter
Ryan
tried to prevent
Calltastic!
him.
Ryan, I want to have you on the call-in show.
I'm the
as
one who needs
co-host
to be
one of these
baptized by
days.
you.
Not to put you on the
Or are
spot.
you coming to me?
I'm going to have to dig through the archives. Me and Ryan and I think ExJW Caleb reacted to a JW drama like 2 years ago. I never released the stream highlights, but it was a funny one.
Let it be this time. For in that way it is suitable for us to carry out all that is righteous.
The Bible does not condone same-sex relationships, people.
Then he quit preventing
As we can
him.
clearly see from the most accurate representation of the Bible ever put to screen. We're not going to get, like, credits on the JW movies, because, like everything, the governing body just takes credit for the whole production. And I wish we knew who was in charge of, like, filming on this particular day. Lovingly filming these shirtless guys. And why wasn't it me? I was available. They know what they're doing. Bloomin'. I prefer my re-edit of this scene.
After being baptized,
What are we doing?
Jesus immediately came up from the water.
Jesus immediately came. They touched each other's wet bodies and looked to the heavens where a dainty little bird flew down. Jesus has never been so horny in his life. He just is about to bust, thinking of his daddy and how special he was. I don't know if this is traditional to other Christian understandings of the Bible, but I actually always kind of thought this was cool in terms of like a lore thing. But Jehovah's Witnesses teach that Jesus, was born as a normal man and had no idea that he was literally the Son of God until he got baptized. And when he got baptized, it's like all of his pre-God, like pre-Earth memories unlock in his brain, like a Jason Bourne flashback. Like, this is not a drill soldier, but instead of that, it's like God creating the heavens and the earth. And so Jesus remembers all that stuff, and it's like so intense and overwhelming. He's like, man, I'm gonna have to wander in the wilderness and think about this crazy info dump that I just unlocked. The greatest download of all time. Jesus downloading lore. Skeptics and scoundrels. Friend of the channel.
And look.
And look.
The heavens were open.
It's not enough to just have the guys looking, is it? You have to have this monotonous Australian man narrating the New World Translation over it. I mean, that just totally robs the moment of anything. Even if I was a Jehovah's Witness, I'm thinking, this sucks.
Opened up. And he saw God's Spirit descending.
God couldn't even show up.
And
Isn't this
coming
like
upon
God
him.
sending, like, his driver or something? Like sending a
Look,
telegram.
Also, a voice from the heavens said,
This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved.
Hello, it's me, Jehovah. Jehovah God. Daddy, Bobby. He remembers his daddy. I didn't fully commit to a song there. I should have, and I backed off it. Jehovah is British, and his little son is Australian. Baptize him with a bottle of water. How embarrassing. Yeah, also when he was 12 in the temple, didn't he say he was in his father's house?
And immediately.
So that doesn't mean he doesn't... Yeah,
The
well,
Spirit
that's just
impelled him
foreshadowing,
to
because
go
it's
into the
his heavenly
wilderness.
father. He understands that. What he doesn't know is that Jesus was squirted out of Jehovah's very loins. Their words, not mine.
So he continued in the wilderness for 40...
Am I crazy? When I pictured this in my mind's eye, when I was reading the Bible as a kid, I imagined it being in a forest. I know it said wilderness, so I was just wrong and had poor reading comprehension, but wouldn't it be so much more fun if it was in a spooky forest? I think that's where it should be.
Days. Being tempted by...
Getting his steps in. And then he's really excited because all of his heaven steps, like, carry over.
Angels
It's like when you unlock New Game Plus. You can now play as Jesus instead
When
of
Jesus
Luigi.
began his work, he was about 30 years old. Being the son, as the opinion was,
Vegemite.
of Joseph,
Vegemite.
son of Heli.
Stop it! Why did they do this? I think they had to do it because they realized at the end of the day, without all the narration, they do not have a movie. I mean, without the narration, they've got like a 9-minute short film. They've got a Zack Snyder trailer. And so they're just like, well, we'll just kind of stitch it together with reading the Bible over these slow motion, kind of impressionistic visions of stuff from the Bible.
Matthat, son of Levi, son of Melchi, son of Janai,
Melchi? I hardly know why.
son of Joseph,
Christina just
son
said,
of
no,
Mattathias,
no.
son of Amos, son of Nahum,
This just emphasizes how
Son of
boring this
Isaiah.
is. If you're going to skip over anything in the
son of
Bible,
Nagai,
you got to skip over the son of.
son of Maath,
Son of a bitch,
son
quite
of
frankly.
Mattathias, son of Simeon,
That is just a fucking ripoff. That's just a total fucking ripoff of in The Last Jedi when Rey reaches out with the Force. And we are gonna compare and contrast, actually. Because they just lifted that. Like, right down to the little budding flower. Alright. I'm sure it'll be easy to find stuff about The Last Jedi on YouTube. That's just the scene of the movie. With nothing else. Training. Yeah. Okay, so just to get our bearings here, Jesus is reaching out with the Force right now, obviously, and touching the rock.
son of Esli,
And learning
son
about
of
all of his
Nagai,
dads.
son of Maath,
And look how this,
son of Mattathias,
what it cuts to here.
son of Simeon,
Shut up! Okay. Alright, watch this. Whoop. Right there. It's the same shit. God damn it. They think I wouldn't call them out like this? My bad. I thought I actually shared the screen.
Hay that feeds new life.
Look at that shit.
Warmth. Cold.
They just stole from Star Wars. Outrageous. It's outrageous, it's unfair.
son of Jodah, son of
Son of
Joel,
Jor-El.
son of Risa,
Oh my god. How can they not know that this is
Son
beyond
of Shealtiel.
parody? Shut up!
Son of Neri.
Can't believe this. I have to do it. I have to do like a supercut of just saying son of, son of, son of.
Son of Adai. Son of Kosam. Son of Elnadam.
Christina brought up a good point, which is that nobody actually reads that part of the Bible. They just skip over it. And so it is sort of like, no, you are going to listen to this part of the Bible. Because it's going to be a solid 15 minutes of the runtime. He's still doing this. I can't believe it. I can't believe they're doing it. They have to commit now. They have to commit. Oh my god.
Son of Simeon. Son of Judas.
God, look, you see how they do this? They just cut it
Son of
just like
Joseph.
the training scene.
Son of Jonam.
I can't
Son of
believe it.
Eliakim.
I can't believe it.
Son of Me.
This is genuinely like cool footage. And they've ruined it. I mean, the way they should have done it is like Man of Steel, where they have Jehovah like talking over it like Jor-El, like,
you will be a beacon for mankind to strive toward.
like kind of the weird muffled way it is in that movie. As he's suiting up, putting on his iconic Jesus cape. He does have a red cape in JW art. If you haven't seen this, let me look this up.
Son
Whoa.
of David.
Son of David. Oh shit. Okay. Sorry. I almost missed that. But just for people, this goes a little deeper than me just saying he looks like Superman. Like, he really does. Damn it. Why is that the tiniest picture of this? Like, look at this. They depict him with a red cape now. It's really goofy. Yeah, I don't know why they do this, but it's like they really are kind of Supermaning it up. They're just reclaiming it. They're like, you know, Superman Returns and Man of Steel, they steal a lot from the Bible. We're just gonna steal that shit right back. Oh, blurry glimpse of Goliath.
Son of
That looks like
David.
Seth. Fucking, what's his name?
Son of Jesse.
Oh no, the edible. I can't think of Seth, the guy who does the Family Guy, McFarland. Oh my god.
Son of Obed.
David looked like Seth MacFarlane a little bit.
Son of Boaz.
Son of Krypton.
Son of Salmon.
Son of Sabaoth,
Son of
the
Nahshon.
Dark Jedi.
Son of Aminadab.
Son of Kit
Son
Fisto.
of Arni. Son of Hezron.
Son of
Son
the
of Perez.
Wookiee from the High Republic series.
Son of Judah. Son of Jacob.
Son of Tito.
Son
The
of
guy in
Anak.
The Force Awakens who steals BB-8. He's like made of junk or something and rides that junk rhinoceros.
Son of Abraham.
Son of Balin Skull from the Ahsoka TV show
Son of Terah.
that we were talking about earlier.
Son of Nahor.
Ooh, have we lost audio? I just got a weird little notification that we lost audio. I cannot fucking believe that it's still going on. I mean, they had... This is embarrassing. It's really embarrassing that this is what they did with their money.
Son of Sirah.
Okay, we're good.
Son of Reu.
Oh my
Son of
god! You're right,
Son of
he does
Peter.
have a sister called Martha.
Son of Shelah.
Hey, they did the water washing up on the beach thing. This is also...
Son of Arpachshad.
It kind of looks like Aquaman walking out on the dock
Son
in
of Shem.
Justice League. The Snyder Cut.
Son
Oh, wow, and we're
of
getting the
Noah.
full flashback. Okay, listen. If you're gonna fucking do this, just do, like, the 3 or 4 where you can cut to some cool Bible story. That's actually a cool idea. Like son of David, and then you see him defeating Goliath, except not really. You see a kind of limp-wristed throw, to be totally honest with you. Just armchair analyzing that throw. I don't think it would kill Goliath. Seeing the arc, like, that's kind of clever, but this has gone on for an absurd amount of time. I remember the film critic Roger Ebert. He had a rule. I don't remember what the name of it is. He had some rules about movie cliches that he developed throughout his time. And one of them was, if in a movie a character yells somebody's name more than 3 times, it becomes unintentionally hilarious. Like, you know the cliche where you're looking for somebody and you're like, Jason! Jason! And so Heavy Rain's an example of it taking that to an extreme where the guy's yelling Jason 9,000 times. And so this is sort of that, where it's son of, but they've kind of taken this Peter scraping his knee Family Guy bit of just how long can we drag this on for. And it's, how did they at no point see that this was ridiculous and in bad taste and unintentionally funny?
Son of Lamech.
Christina says this has David's plane written all over it. I think you might be onto something there.
Son of Enoch.
We have to get all the names in there, otherwise it's not just
Son
right.
of Mahalalel.
As a Forest Vault. That's a great example.
Son of Seth.
And then there's just Seth. I mean, we talked about Seth MacFarlane earlier.
Son of Adam.
Okay, we got to fucking Adam. Now, if this is the first time you're seeing the third part of the Good News According to Jesus, which, as we know, is called Part 1, they are just reusing stuff they filmed from the last time. So we're not even getting unique new footage of Bible stories. I should have, like, the Twitch speedrun timer. But it's just, how long can I go before I hit fast forward because I'm losing my mind? What a profoundly embarrassing thing.
Of God.
Adam and Eve can both kind of get it. Wow. Son of God. I mean, you gotta end on that one. Because God doesn't have a dad. And that's just, you don't have to think about that.
Fasted
it's not a plot
for
hole.
40 days and 40 nights.
Listen, the Big Bang makes no fucking sense because what made the Big Bang? God. Well, what made God? Oh, don't worry about that. Nothing made God. He's forever and infinite.
He felt
and now
hungry.
He's choking. Oh, okay. Oh my God, he's gonna eat rocks. Eat rocks, old man. Yeah, like, I definitely just always imagined him in a forest making a little fire when the devil comes after him. Stay tuned for Not a Cult for creepy forest scenes in which the devil comes after people.
The tempter approached.
Jesus had a peanut allergy.
If you are son of God,
he starts seeing Satan's skeleton because he hasn't figured out his like X-ray vision
tell
yet.
these stones to become loaves of bread.
Tell him to become loaves of brev. God damn it.
It is written, man must live not on bread alone, but on every word that comes from Jehovah's mouth.
Satan just looks like a pasty Gen Z edgelord who got held back a year in high school. Whoa, he's seeing Satan visions. Now we're doing something. Now this is pod racing.
Then the devil took him along into the holy city, and he stationed him on the battlement of the temple.
This is where Jesus needed to do, like, some Doctor Strange stuff and, like, oh, okay, you think you can pull me into your vision? I'm gonna put you in the mirror dimension. Oh, shit. Scarlet Witch crawled through the mirrors. Now, well, we're going to break the mirrors and go into the flippity-florp dimension. Like, they could have really made something cool.
Dead to him.
Why didn't they just make a
If
big-budget
you are
Doctor Strange film
a son
to have
of
Jesus
God,
fight Satan?
throw yourself down.
He's a Sith Lord.
For it is written, he will give his...
This is what I'm saying. This is the lamest test that Satan could possibly give. Like, hey, I know what's going to get you. You'll never see this one coming. Hey, it's me, Satan. Hello. Solve my riddles 3, and I'll give you Satan magic. And Jesus is like, no, you're the bad guy. I'm not going to listen to you. And Satan's like, no, my one weakness. But that's not what the Falling Tower said. This account in the Bible never made sense to me. Why would Satan expect Jesus as a superior creature to worship him? And if you believe in the Trinity, why would Satan expect God to worship him? Yeah, it's like, because he was that hungry, I guess. When you're hungry and Satan presents you with all the kingdoms on earth.
Angels a command concerning you.
Truly.
And they will carry you on their hands, so that you may not...
Yeah, he looks like a
strike your
vagrant
foot
in
against
the Elder Scrolls.
Again, it is written.
Again, it is written.
You must not put Jehovah your God...
My favourite book says the following. The Sacred Jedi Texts. Whoa, it's King Jesus. That's the song. This kind of is like in the Justice League when Cyborg like sees all the kingdoms of heaven in cyberspace or whatever the fuck was happening there.
Instant of time.
The new light is that Satan is clean shaven.
Then the devil said to him,
Okay, that actually did look like AI. Yeah, unfortunately, this looks like something that Donald Trump would post to Truth Social to say, like, this is what Compton is going to look like in 5 years of my presidency. And it's going to be this. But I don't think it is AI. They really go out of their way to show all of their human laborers. I think they might... I don't know. I would love to get a read on this from any Bethelites who are physically and mentally out. First of all, I would love to hear from any Bethelites. It's been a while since we've had a, Bethel... Or since I've had a Bethel contact, anyway. But I would be kind of interested to know what the read on AI is at Bethel. Because while I'm certain that most witnesses probably just view it as a tool and have the same kinds of suspicions that, you know, the rest of us have about AI, because this is a superstitious conspiratorial group, I wonder if there are those who have apprehensions about it because they worry that it's satanic in some way. Like, oh, we can't control this, so then satanic images really might get into our magazines. I don't know. I can see how they would be superstitious about it, or at least a little stitious. I love how he's this, like, dark wraith-type creature.
then the devil said to him,
I mean, quite frankly, like that one guy in the Ahsoka show.
Over to me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to mute that.
And I give it.
What did he say? I don't want to miss key dialogue.
Authority and their glory.
Okay,
Because it has
Satan
been handed
versus
over
Gale
to
versus
me.
PETA. Who wins?
And I give it to whomever I wish.
Yeah. Christina perked up for the first time. Like, hang on. I have something to add. I haven't seen any of the new ones or read any of the new ones.
Worship.
You can spoil it. I'm not caught up on my games. On my hungers.
Go away, Satan, for it is
Yes,
written.
exactly.
It is Jehovah, your God, you must worship. And it is to him alone you must render sacred
You must worship Jehovah your God. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not conjured you the stolen loaves of bread from rocks from earlier.
Satan is kind of like the Sephiroth of this story, you know? Like, he's the dark emo crush. He's the Kylo Ren. The bad boy. But then you've got...
And look.
Chad himself. And these really do look like AI, actually. What the fuck? Does that kind of look like me in a weird way? Like if I had white hair? But this doesn't look like a person. Are you an angel?
And began to minister to him.
Deny me 3 times. Right? I can fix him. Alan Tudyk. It kind of looked like to be continued. Wow, yeah, they really left us on the edge of our fucking seat there. That was pretty brutal, folks. That was not my favorite thing I've ever seen. But I'm going to take just a short break. But, you know, because it is convention season, I wanted to make sure that the break that we take is extra special. So, folks, we'll be right back.
Wow. Listen. And it says here, forego financial advantages to attend all 3 sessions here. So again, does God notice and appreciate your efforts? Well, perhaps not. So what is shit? Well, shit has been defined as the act of shitting. It involves actions. Not all shit pleases Jehovah. But a question. You know, there, after Satan tempted Jesus to try to give him some shit, verse 10, there in verse 9, verse 10, how? Let's see how he accomplished that. So he taught. That's what he taught. He taught pure shit.
Yep. Sorry. And you know, in all that time, I couldn't open my cheese stick. Christina got it mostly there. But, yeah, I'm telling you. Yes, this is the Pilotwing 64 music. Good catch. User, please feed me poop. And username. I really want to make it clear that that was not me saying to please feed me anything like that. Oh, yeah, okay, so I think we're done with the Friday AM Part 1, actually. So we can move right on to Part Deuce. How exciting is this, folks? This is probably the most exciting day of my life. Actually, I'm going to be totally real with you. The mornings... Oh, my God. Oh, no. He just stepped all over my keyboard. God. God damn it, dude. Get out of here. He wants the wrapper for my cheese stick, but I can't open it. He doesn't know the challenges that I face. Bo just doesn't understand. Okay, we want Friday AM Part 2. Hey, what? Why can't we do it? Friday AM Part 2. Oh, thank you, darling. Christina to the rescue. opening my cheese stick because I'm 5.
These things.
Thousands are finding
These are from
great
Aldi,
joy.
and quite frankly, I feel like sometimes they just use Elmer's glue to glue these cheese sticks shut.
In serving at Bethel and on theocratic
Oh yeah, I
construction
think
projects.
back after the program, I got to take the
Still,
jacket off at this
there
point.
is an ongoing need for more volunteers. Could you
There
make
we go.
yourself available?
Getting comfy.
Please watch the following video.
Oh, volunteers. Everything the light touches. Is this the same Krusty Steve Inlet video? I hope so, because I don't remember what I said about it before, but I remember it being amazing.
Making yourself available for Bethel service is like knocking on a door that leads to many other privileges of service.
Cheese
Of
stick.
course, to serve at Bethel requires a self-sacrificing spirit and a willingness to serve wherever there is a need in harmony with the attitude displayed by the prophet Isaiah at Isaiah 6:8. Then I heard the voice of Jehovah saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?"
Whomst?
And I said, "Here."
Oh yeah, they love this. Here I am, send me. When you hear that, that's you saying that. Here I am, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania, send me to do free labor for you.
When Isaiah learned about an opportunity to do more in Jehovah's service, he responded eagerly.
No, honestly,
even
it
though
feels-
he did not know
feels
exactly
good.
what he was going to be assigned to do.
I feel like I'm
It was enough for him to
living
know
my best
that
life.
Jehovah was extending an invitation to serve in a special way.
I'm only dressed in a suit from the waist up, I'll be honest. I've got pajama pants on. Not just
And Isaiah wanted to volunteer.
So I'm
The
not...
same spirit
I mean, this
shown
is
by
my
Bethel
best for a
family
Sunday, but I
members
wouldn't call it my
worldwide.
Sunday best.
If the branch committee determines that there is a need for your services, they will decide where you can best be used, whether at Bethel or perhaps on a theocratic construction assignment. Submitting your application may open a door of opportunity to serve Jehovah and his organization in a variety of ways.
Sorry, just because I'm trying to keep the hype for my upcoming novel somewhat alive, I promise it's still happening. Posted some excerpts from it. Not a cult. Got a novel coming out that's a horror story, religious horror story within Jehovah's Witnesses, like an exorcism story. But if you want to know why I wanted to make a horror story set within Jehovah's Witnesses, it's that little Krusty Krab training video that we just saw. Just that kind of cult volunteer training video, and it being very corporate. There's something, you know, kind of the opposite of Midsommar. That's all suits and business casual clothes in corporate America, like that aesthetic. There's all of which is to say there's something deeply terrifying about that to me, especially when I've had half of an edible.
That was an excerpt from the video.
I thought he was going to say, that was an excellent video, Simba.
Self-available for Bethel service. If you are interested in serving at Bethel or on theocratic construction projects on a part-time or full-time
Theocratic
basis,
construction projects.
please watch the entire video on jw.org. Baptized Christians who are 18 years of age or older and are interested in volunteering should apply. Speak to your congregation secretary for more information.
Barely legal
If
teens,
possible,
sign up to do manual
please
labor.
submit your application electronically on jw.org.
Why am I listening to these boring announcements? Dapper. A real Dapper Dan. But bring us to our videos, good sir. Oh god, no! Are we back to Jesus? Not back to Jesus. What's this? We might skip it.
Numerous messianic prophecies were fulfilled in Jesus. The fulfillment of multiple prophecies reveals who the promised Messiah is.
And your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to name him John. Holy Spirit.
Oh boy, so this is just like a recap previously on the New Testament, I guess is what we're doing. And this, if I'm going to try and provide some kind of substantial commentary to this for a change, an hour and 19 minutes in, like this is not a good argument in favor of the Bible's veracity. Like, just in case people don't know, I'm an atheist, okay? That's a really cool and interesting thing about me. Sorry, I don't know. I feel like it's cringe to talk about atheism sometimes, because it can just come across as contrarianism, but I just think this is important. Like, when I was a witness and was just eating this stuff up and believed that the Bible was the true inspired word of God, the fact that there were prophecies in the Bible and that, like, Matthew just lays out, and this thing that happened fulfilled this Bible prophecy, that did kind of scratch this kind of nerdy itch in my brain, you know? Like, it feels like, yes, this makes logical sense, in the same way that Star Wars, quite frankly, likes to fill in plot holes after the fact. It's called retconning, right? So why did the Death Star have an obvious weakness where if one person shot it, the entire space station would explode? I don't know why that happens to me, verbal aphasia, but, well, it's because 40 years later they figured out that a scientist who worked for the Empire was a turncoat, and he installed a weakness on purpose, you see, so it all makes sense. But it doesn't. It was somebody after the fact making it make sense, and that's what's going on with the Bible. But this is why witnesses are like, oh, you have to just let the Bible interpret itself. You just have to let the Bible tell you what it means. But you can't do that, because, of course, the Bible is going to reaffirm that it's true. Yes, because Galen or so. That was what I was really trying to get to.
For that reason.
Okay, so we're going to skip this boring, like, what did we learn today, class? We learned that Jesus was baptized by the sexiest man, alt-worldly 2025 award winner, John the Baptist, from The Good News According to Jesus, Part 2, Part 1. Oh. And this guy kind of looks like my doppelganger.
Chapter 7. And we'll look at verses 12
I love his
13.
glasses. I want them. Okay, so I do need to get some new glasses, and, well, do I need them or do I want them? Yes is the answer. I kind of want those frames. Talk to me, chat. Yes. Great point. Gutsick Gibbon always likes to point out that if you could just interpret the Bible as plainly written, there wouldn't be so many interpretations of the Bible. Yeah, exactly. Like, the whole reason why religion exists, why the Jehovah's Witnesses exist, is they're like, no, you need us to explain to you what the Bible means. And Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, or the Bible Students, which later became Jehovah's Witnesses, he said that you'd be better off reading his studies in the scriptures than just reading the Bible by yourself. What he was writing was kind of the Bible plus. It was kind of the Bible Deluxe plus Knuckles, is what Charles Taze Russell did with Study in the Scriptures, because it gives you the context of the Bible and tells you what everything means. It's like having one of those old player's guides to a video game.
Sum up all that we've discussed about Jesus' family tree.
Thousands of years before Jesus' birth, messianic prophecy, beginning with Genesis 3:15,
see what they're gonna do?
foretold his role as the Messiah, the coming offspring who would accomplish Jehovah's purpose.
Coming offspring?
The Bible books of Matthew and Luke provide a genealogy that allows us to trace Jesus' lineage.
This is the weird place you're in when you believe that the Bible is literal. Is like, no, yeah, there were really two angels with a spinning sword between them, blocking off the Garden of Eden. And no, swords hadn't been invented yet on Earth, because they had just gotten cast out of a peaceful paradise, but in heaven they did have swords. They just did have swords in heaven for when they had to go and do their heaven battles with shiny celestial swords.
From Adam to the faithful patriarch Abraham, whom God promised that the Messiah would descend.
It wouldn't be nearly as long. A thing I've said many times in my life.
As time passed, the prophets
I'm gonna fast forward. Okay, I refuse. I refuse to hear about any more sons of sons. And that's not just because of my daddy issues, okay? It was just getting tedious. Now this guy looks like a Jehovah's Witness. Cleanly shaven. Modest. A suit that's about 2 sizes too big. Bo's favorite pastime is licking the wrappers to string cheese. And my favorite pastime is eating string cheese, so it's a match made in heaven.
I'm sure
we saw this dude last year. We saw this guy in last year's convention, so this is a returning player. But I tell you what I remember about him. So I remember we skipped him because he was boring.
And that's it.
Hate to say it. Get behind me, Satan. Oh no! What was that?
1940.
Okay, you know what? We are going to need some context, because this is quite a jump. Oh, we missed a lot of stuff. Many things were missed. My apologies.
So, if we are following Jesus, we're supporters of that kingdom, we must avoid any activity, including employment, that violates our neutral stand toward human government.
He doesn't like me touching him when he's
that we would not learn
bathing
war
himself.
Anymore in harmony of
He's like,
Isaiah
I just fixed
chapter
this.
2, verse 4. And we would refuse to get involved with politics.
The implications.
But have you seen that in recent times it's becoming increasingly...
It's hard to get used to a goatee being modest. You know, if I was a Jehovah's Witness, I would struggle with this. I'd have to pray to Jehovah every night. Please help me not be stumbled by goatees.
Difficult to avoid these uncomfortable discussions.
Ooh.
Perhaps we're at work or at school.
Uncomfortable discussions,
even
you say?
in the supermarket. Or maybe we're with unbelieving relatives. There are
Witnesses are always in the
social,
supermarket
moral,
having
political
conversations.
issues that come up, and they want to pressure us to say and what we
That
feel.
is the apologetic explanation for why Matthew and Luke have different genealogies. Or is it Matthew and Luke, or is it doesn't matter. But the genealogies are different, and so what apologists say is that one of them is a paternal genealogy and the other is maternal, but it doesn't really make sense. But I'm really not your guy for debunking such things.
To take a side. But Jehovah's Witnesses do not take sides in such
Hey, that's the name of the religion.
While we respect the choices that others make, we are determined to adhere to Bible principles. Now, in the following
Just in my
video,
tie.
note how Jehovah's
In the
Witnesses,
following
both
video.
young and old, have rendered pure worship to
Both young
Jehovah,
and old.
no matter what form of government they live under.
Whoa, no matter what form of government they live under. That's pretty fascinating, because Jehovah's Witnesses are told, of course, they must be politically neutral, so they're not allowed to vote, go to war. If they had to carry some kind of party card, they're not allowed to do that unless Watchtower gives them an excuse to do it. It kind of depends. Your mileage may vary. But it doesn't matter what kind of government you live under. You're supposed to view it as temporary, because the only acceptable form of government is God's government. But this is a very American-centric religion, so I have a feeling this is going to be somewhat American-focused, but I do believe we caught a little glimpse of the Nazis in this footage that he's playing, so... Boy, these guys are everywhere these days. Not even on Sunday service can you avoid the Nazis.
True Christians have repeatedly demonstrated their determination.
True Christians have repeatedly demonstrated that they can stand on the mountaintop and look at CGI, AI animated bullshit.
No matter the cost. In 1916,
Yeah.
the First World War was raging. Despite...
Wait, what? It sounded like you said 1960.
1916, the First World War was
Alright, you said 16.
raging.
Okay.
Despite intense pressure to join the war efforts, many individuals refused to perform military service, including...
Military service, no thank you, Governor.
Among them was Herbert Sr.
Herbert Sr. is a
There was no
handsome
difference in
fella.
principle between unloading shells from a
He's
ship
a
and putting
fine-looking young chap, this Herbert
no
Sr.
shells into a gun to be fired. It was all part of the same process.
God's stone witnesses,
Brother Sr.
according to Charles Taze
and
Russell,
four
the
other
pyramids.
brothers were arrested, along with other conscientious objectors.
Oi,
handed
brothers.
to the army and imprisoned.
You've been
in
arrested, you
filthy
have.
conditions at Richmond Castle, England.
The Gothic Castle.
Thinking it might encourage any brothers that might follow us, I found some lumps of chalk and made a large drawing on the cell wall.
You found some lumps of chalk. Lucky you. Well, it's not luck, it's God, of course. I started drawing crazy conspiracies to a buried treasure on the wall of me cell, so that later Nathan Drake could find it and use it to find me buried treasure.
Taken to France. After being forced to witness an execution,
Anybody play Uncharted 4 and remember that part?
to compromise his neutrality, but he
He's
refused.
just in a castle.
Senior was then sentenced to death by shooting.
This does seem like
Sentence was later
we're going to
adjusted
zoom out,
to 10
and Nate
years
is explaining
hard
this to
labour.
Sully, and it's like, and this is why we have to get Herbert's treasure.
In 1940, Europe was engulfed in World War II. America had not yet entered the war, but
Sully, don't you get it? Herbert took the amulet to the Nazis. He never died. Well, he did eventually.
Patriotism was at fever pitch.
I've never in my life, can I be real with you?
Appreciate our stand on the matter.
Stumbled upon a thing or two in my life, not shock.
And the class started, and
I do. And yeah, the edibles have something to do with it, but the liminal space of old classrooms, like old public school classrooms. This is, I think, an English school, but oh no, I'm a fucking idiot. There's an American flag right there. We're just hearing all these British people. Love it. Love an old classroom. So I think that all the millions they're spending on their video department worth it for this level of historical accuracy alone.
my teacher then noted that I was not saluting, and so she shouted, "Stop!"
Sorry, that's a little quiet.
Children stopped saying the pledge, and she says, "When
Ah,
I say
yes.
salute, I mean everybody salute." I knew that
I was
had to
told
be
this story
loyal to
at a
Jehovah.
young age.
And I was wanting to explain the reason why I couldn't salute the flag, but she was just so angry. In fact, she saw my hand by my side, and so she took it to put it over my heart, and I resisted her, and that just
Pay
infuriated
respect to
her.
America!
So much so that she just took me and just threw me up against the blackboard. I hit my head.
Isn't that a line from the Simpsons movie? Clap for America.
I was very upset. That was in the late spring, and it was
Whoa,
that
she got a
summer
bloody
that I
nose.
was baptized.
But maybe that's just because she has psychic powers or is about to time travel, according to all movies.
Who boldly declined to salute the flag.
I remember being told about this as a young Jehovah's Witness kid and having to stand up to my teachers. And I got a similar mad teacher once. It was after 9/11. And so teachers were... A lot of teachers were very patriotic. I had this teacher, he was a veteran, and he was like, and if anybody here has a problem saying the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll give you a reason to do... Like, he was really adamant that he was gonna fuck you up if you didn't put your hand over your heart and say the Pledge of Allegiance. And so, like, I had to go up after class and be like, "No, Mr. Not his name. Couldn't remember it. But yeah, so that's just kind of a socially unfortunate situation to be in as a kid, I think. And these are always spun as kids standing up for their faith. But it's also like, why are you putting kids in this position in the first place, where they have to be ostracized because of this arbitrary tradition you're putting on? And I do think that the Pledge of Allegiance is culty and weird, don't get me wrong. But I also think, like, to keep the peace, is it such a big deal? I don't really know. Then again, then the counterpoint is this sort of comment. It's worth standing up for some things, no doubt.
In 1967,
No doubt.
the Malawian government declared a ban of Jehovah's Witnesses,
Ugh.
leading to horrific
All right.
persecution. Many fled the country.
We refused to compromise and fled to the refugee camp in Mozambique. In 1975, we had to leave the camp.
Okay, so there's lore here. This is actually really gross what they're doing. Do I still sound okay, folks? We got the laundry going. And it's a little loud for me, but I don't know if the mic is picking up on it. So let me know, and I can try and close this door here. But they are spinning this history. People in Malawi having to stand up for their faith. And let's just, for context, get the real history of what happened here. This is Malawi, Mexico, Oath of Allegiance. This is detailed in large part in Raymond Franz's tell-all biography, Crisis of Conscience. Raymond Franz was a governing body member and left and wrote a tell-all book about it because he realized that there was no Holy Spirit guiding this group and that it was all just men and politics and petty differences. And one of the things that he exposed in this book was the disparity in how witnesses were treated by the branch in Mexico and Malawi. Let me see if I can zoom in on the screen here. I'm not good at computer. These days everything's computer, and I'm not very good at computer. Okay, so many faithful Jehovah's Witnesses have died obeying the Watchtower stance on neutrality. This article shows the tragedy that occurred when Malawian witnesses were hypocritically forced to uphold a higher standard than was expected of those in Mexico or by the governing body themselves. Okay, unnoticeable unless you point it out. All right. Religion is the most culpable when its rules lead to unnecessary deaths of its followers. Graphic representation of this in Watchtower history is the torture and murder of Jehovah's Witnesses in Malawi between 1964 and 1994. That's what we're seeing in the video on the convention here. Most disturbing is that Watchtower leaders enforced a stance in Malawi that was misguided and applied inconsistently in other countries. When reading Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz, Chapter 6, titled Double Standards, disturbed me more than any other. Franz explained how a Watchtower principle that led to the torture and death of thousands of witnesses in Malawi was excused for witnesses in Mexico. Malawian witnesses suffered unspeakable atrocities because Watchtower leaders forbade them holding a political card, yet they allowed witnesses in Mexico to bribe officials for a cartilla card in order to escape military service. So that is the gist of it. If you want to go down this rabbit hole, it is worth going down, but that's the larger point, is that Jehovah's Witnesses, on one hand, in Mexico, were told by the Watchtower, go ahead and just bribe officials to get your cartilla so you don't have to actually pledge your loyalty or whatever. Totally fine. But in Malawi, they were told the exact opposite, and they were told, and they had to go to prison. And so this double standard got people imprisoned. And quite frankly, I think that this happens in Russia as well. Like, don't get me wrong, it's an authoritarian government, and many religions there are banned. LGBTQ people are banned. Jehovah's Witnesses just so happen to be often put in a position where they might be arrested in ways that people of other religious faiths aren't, because they are expected to preach. And for a long time, I think they were in more danger than they needed to be, because, like, the Zoom meeting thing that happened during COVID, why couldn't they have just done that in Russia? Like, why couldn't they have just gone more incognito and not forced people to meet in person in a way that would put them in danger of being arrested? So there's a double standard, and it involves, or it results in some Jehovah's Witnesses being arrested, rotting in prison, maybe dying or being killed, and then they use that to their advantage in their propaganda videos. People's suffering and torture and imprisonment, they use that to say, look how we're being persecuted. And that's the entire Christian religious ethos, is that they're being persecuted. It's the war on Christmas. If anybody ever says happy holidays, it's the same kind of mentality. So anyway, that is what they're now
when we came back,
lying about here.
We faced the neutrality issue again. When we started to build a house, the party members came. They wanted us to buy political party cards. If we bought them, the family could have a home, our children would be allowed to go to school, we could fund the land. we wouldn't be arrested and experience the horrible condition of the prison camp.
Okay, well, so that on one hand, but on the other hand, let's look at JW Facts, which says in Mexico at the same exact time in the 60s, the same exact time that this is happening in Malawi, right? At the same time that witnesses were forbidden to hold a card in Malawi, a comparable situation arose in Mexico, with the governing body ruling in the opposite direction for Mexican brothers. In Mexico, military service was compulsory for young men. On completion of service, young men would receive a cartilla card, which, similar to the card in Malawi, was required for transactions such as obtaining a passport and driver's license. Young witness brothers experienced persecution and imprisonment for refusing their obligation to attend military service. In order to relieve the suffering, the governing body ruled that it was acceptable for Mexican brothers to bribe officials to obtain a government cartilla that exempted them from military service. This is discussed in the following letter to Mexico Branch Committee dated June 2nd, 1960. And I believe in Crisis of Conscience, like, Raymond Friends has, like, the scans of these letters and everything. But, yeah, let's see. If the consciences of certain brothers allow them to enter into such an arrangement for their continued freedom, we have no objection, right? So they said that's totally fine. But in Malawi, they did not allow this same thing. Saying they're, you know, that they have to be no part of the world. And that's just too bad. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that joining a political party is wrong for them. And that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Except when it comes to Mexico. So that's the really gross double standard. And it's the fact that they hide things like this that leads members to eventually wake up. As we say in the X community, wake up, Ethan. When you realize that the religion is not special, it's not divine, angels are not directing you, Jesus Christ in his red Superman cape is not there, because they're hiding all of these things that reveal the religion to be extremely human and often amoral, and they lie about this stuff and bury it. They lie by omission. And because of that, it feels like a huge betrayal when you find this kind of stuff out as a witness. Mormons experience this same issue. Scientologists certainly do. Scientology consistently tried to stop biographies about L. Ron Hubbard from coming out because they didn't want Scientologists to know the real truth about that guy's life. And so, just something to keep in mind when it comes to publishing books about Jehovah's Witnesses, first of all, but also this is how you know it's a cult. It's why the White House only wants propagandists in the press room, because they want to present a certain image, and they want, to their members who trust this one source of information, they want everything that channels through that source of information to reaffirm that the cult has the truth and is right, and that the leader is doing all these amazing, wonderful things. And so any criticism that punctures that bubble is a problem for them. So they will gladly use this kind of torture porn for their own selfish purposes.
Compromising my
But
integrity was not
as soon as somebody leaves, that's too bad. Why do you think they weren't consistent? Was it just applying their beliefs inconsistently, or was there some other reason? Yeah, we would have to go and read it, but I'm pretty sure that part of it was just that Mexico was more important to the organization. Like, they kind of needed more freedom there strategically for the worldwide work. And whereas Malawi mattered less to them in that way. And frankly, maybe it was just not thinking things through. Yeah, Franz wrote, because it watched our own properties in Mexico. Yeah, there was some kind of cynical reason for it. But do your own research within reason. Read credible sources.
We trusted that Jehovah would care for us.
But
he did.
he didn't, because God doesn't exist. Edgy atheist.
We all face pressure to compromise our neutrality in today's political and social issues.
We trusted that Jehovah would care for
I was trying to
us.
see what this location was,
And he did.
and my face was covering it.
We all face pressure.
Oh, just today.
to compromise
Location.
our neutrality
Today.
in today's
Broadly, this is what
political
today is
and
like.
Social issues. Examples such as Sister Baronet Madonna.
Whoa.
Sister Carrie
Baronet Madonna. First of her name.
Lewis. And Brother Herbert Sr. Along with
Son
the unwavering
of Herbert
example of
Senioritis.
Jesus,
Son of Herbert
our
III Jr.
determination to maintain exclusive devotion to Jehovah.
Exclusive devotion. Creepy. Very creepy. No nos gustamos. That was quite bad, I will say. I did not enjoy that one bit. That was gross, but you know, it's good. It's not just goofy, harmless stuff. Sometimes it's goofless, harmful stuff. Thank you very much. And so now we move on to Friday afternoon.
Music video reminds us to take delight in...
Whoa. There's an afternoon music video? Is this a first? He's really having to shout over the crowd,
the
too.
beauty of creation, in our preaching work, and in God's written word. Please watch and listen quietly to
Listen
the
up,
video.
you little shits. Listen quietly. Oh, God. How can I get audio to play? I think I downloaded a funny song yesterday for a YouTube video. Maybe I can upload that real quick. Background music, sing this song. That's the new background music theme song, by the way. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. It's processing. This had better be worth it. Are we playing? Oh, no. Oh, okay. There we go. Not a great deal of substance so far. Not a great deal of substance. What are we doing here, folks? Okay, just people looking at how beautiful the earth is. Can you believe God made all this? Like a painter. The divine potter crafting the earth out of celestial clay. The music is very apropos. Was that it? Oh no. There's now a cartoon. Now it does feel like a Punch-Out training sequence. Whoa, there's a fucking anime. Maybe there's gonna be another emo person. Another anime love interest. This music rules. This is from Super Punch-Out, by the way. That's the other thing, is they're like, one day the whole Earth will be a paradise, and then they show just the Earth as it is now. It's like, there's a lot of beautiful paradise-like places on Earth. All right, I think our music ran out. Probably for the best, quite frankly. No! No, stop. Okay. And now we're just being white colonizers. Okay, creepy, weird. And I think some of those cartoons were previously released. I think that was a little greatest hits montage. All right. All the work that goes into translating the Bible. Okay, let's see what's going on with our friend here. No. Okay. I mean, this is just publishing books. You know, you could put the Severance music under this, and it would suddenly be very ominous. And I did do that in a previous video. Let's get a taste of the music. Publishing books is beautiful. Like, this is ridiculous. Mass production of a royalty-free product to the sobbing masses. This is actually very depressing. But here they're like, oh, wait, this actually sounds scary. Oh, I guess it's nice. Okay, but they're just crying. Oh, they're weeping. Oh my God, I've never seen a Bible this beautiful before. Oh, and we can manipulate people in need of a community by producing literature in their language. I don't know. This video is kind of missing something. Is it over? Is there no more video? There mustn't be any more video. Clappy, clappy, clappy. Is Sammy coming back? Wait a minute. Imitate Jesus' responses to the tempter. Live on Jehovah's word. I think the tempter is Satan, but the tempter, I hardly know her. That's a pretty good name for Jesus, Satan.
This morning we watched the portrayal of Satan repeatedly tempting Jesus. What were you thinking
The tempter.
as you watched that? How wicked Satan is.
That is what we were thinking, weren't we,
He did not hold
fellow
back
brothers and
from
sisters?
tempting
How
even
very
Jesus.
wicked that Satan is,
And
says I. What a naughty Satan. Oh, now we're talking. Folks, it took us 2 hours, but we're getting to our sweet, sweet dramatizations that we've been craving all day, like so many cheese sticks.
Take note of how the brother imitates Jesus'
Take note and
example
notice.
when facing temptation.
Thank you for taking on some of the congregation responsibilities. Yeah. We're praying for that too. Okay. Hey, thanks, John. All right, bye. Hey, babe. It's about time for your meds.
My favorite one.
Hey, buddy. So what's your homework for today?
Math?
You need some help?
No, I think I'm okay.
Did he say bath? Like, need help with the bath? I might have to rewind that. So, I don't know. We're really settling into a lifestyle here, but there are people taking pills. Looks a little bit like our pill container here in the Kreitz house. I mean, it's not a house. It's a apartment. He said math. Oh, that makes a lot more sense because he's doing math homework. But I thought he was doing his bath homework, so you can see why I was confused. So, his wife is sick. Okay, so I saw some snippets, I think on our last stream. I just hit puberty just now. My voice cracked. I don't think anyone noticed. On our last stream, we watched some snippets from this. We didn't have all the context, and the wife is wearing this head covering, and I wasn't sure what that was because there is some circumstances within Jehovah's Witnesses where women are expected to wear head coverings. But that is apparently not the case. This is like she has cancer and has lost her hair to chemotherapy. Okay, and so he's very sad, living a very sad, put-upon life, and yet nonetheless living in quite a nice house. I mean, all things considered.
I'm excited. Chris and Nikki coming back in town.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
How long's it been?
About 15 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like that. Willy Wonka. Walter Wonka. Whoa, social media post. What was I supposed to find upsetting about this? That was actually a little too subtle for me. I think my Satan's world has corroded my conscience, and I don't know what I was supposed to be offended by.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scrolling social media. Dog. Kayak. Scary music for some reason. Party.
These women.
We saw a party for a half second.
How did this stuff even get on my feed?
What? What's so bad about what was on your feed? I don't understand. Am I fucking crazy? I know that's the damn truth.
These women are barely wearing anything.
These women are barely wearing anything. Okay. I mean, not to throw stones in a glass house, but I feel like he's a little mumbly. And that's something that I am working on myself. I'm a mumbler. Trying to save myself from myself in terms of mumbling, but I did miss that. Okay, so it was kind of incoherent though, because we didn't even see the post. We saw what looked like kind of a normal dance party type thing. And we just saw their heads for a split second. He's like, those women are hardly wearing anything.
How did this stuff even get on my feed?
Son of Tiberius. Son of Wilburmeyer.
Maybe I could use your help here.
Sure, yeah.
With my bath homework.
What you got there for me, buddy?
Hey, babe. You think I could bother
Just
you
doing
for
some adult paperwork at night.
Sure, babe.
General work. Dog, I would actually kill someone in real life for a place this nice. Not a person. But someone. No. These are jokes. Oh, we saw these people in the snippets we saw of the convention. I feel like we saw, like,
getting these posts?
some foreshadowing almost on accident.
Satan always tries to exploit our natural desires. Like he did with Jesus.
What's his desire,
If
though?
you are a son
To go
of
kayaking?
God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread.
What if it's just bread? What if that's like still his heart's desire? He's scrolling Instagram and he sees just a stock image of a loaf of bread and he's like, God damn, how did this even get on my feed?
Are natural.
I have my wife set up blocks and everything.
In a selfish way would not be right.
It is written, man must live not on bread alone,
This is too vague for me to understand.
but on every word
What his
that comes
problem
from
is.
Jehovah's mouth.
If this app could lead me to damage my relationship with Jehovah,
It's
not for me.
Jehovah. What are we supposed to... Okay, so there was lewdly dressed women, because of course a glimpse of stocking is considered shocking in this religion. And furthermore, I saw people imbibing in alcoholic beverages in quantities that would surely inebriate a man, woman, or child. Thus, this social media app is not good for a servant of God. Thank you, Stroud. take that as a compliment.
What helped our brother to resist temptation? He thought of Jesus'
What helped
example.
our brother? That was just a fictional person in a fictional scenario, okay? It's not their brother. But actually, you know what? It is, because it's all Jehovah's Witnesses acting in the parts, obviously.
How Jesus refused to satisfy
I want to learn our
natural
lesson after
desire
this. What are we supposed to learn from
in
this?
a selfish way. Let me ask you what you think. Do you think it was extreme or...
Oh, limbo jumbo. I think you might be onto something, though. Like, Witness JW, like, their propaganda videos are probably not going to come right out and say that they're having an intimacy issue, but I think you're probably right that they're not as intimate because she has cancer and he's seeing stuff that's like, ooh, this isn't pornographic, but I'm seeing some cleave, and if I start seeing a little bit of cleave, I'm going to want to start seeing a little bit of nips, and it's a slow but steady descent into Fap Town is what they're saying, not me. I think you might be onto something. And so that I kind of want to hear Larry David's response. He just, like, in this pause face, kind of looks like Larry David, but he doesn't generally. He kind of looks like Mark
unrealistic
McConville.
for the brother to actually delete from his phone an app that was presenting sexually provocative images? No, it was not. He was imitating Jesus by identifying a temptation and acting immediately.
Jesus, too, had to block
reject
people
it.
on social media if
Our
they were
brother
too
took
sexy.
decisive action to safeguard himself. When Jesus was tempted, would it have strengthened or weakened him?
They ask such condescending, baby-fied questions. When Jesus was tempted, what would have been good for Jesus? What would have been more tempting? I was indeed looking for a slippery slope, but you must understand there was half an edible eaten earlier. And now I don't remember why I paused it.
To think repeatedly about his hunger, or to think repeatedly
His
about
hunger.
bread.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I've talked about this before, but a big problem that I have from a theological point of view that caused me to have some doubts was it did bother me that Jesus never faced sexual temptation when he was on earth, because of course that was my greatest temptation, I guess, but not really. It's just like, because you're not allowed to even masturbate when you're a Jehovah's Witness, so it's not like I'm some sex maniac, really. It's just like any normal sexual desires feel like overwhelming, and so it creates a self-perpetuating problem. The triple P. I think we might have just been a double P. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, this just creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're not supposed to think about elephants, so you think about elephants, and so you feel constantly ashamed. And where do you go for refuge from your shame? You go to the group. And so they're the people that are going to make you feel good, but also make you feel bad. They're going to give you a problem and the cure to that fake problem that they invented. And yeah, it's just kind of weird that it's so like they can't come right out and say this sexual stuff, even though if you have read Crisis of Conscience, you know that that's actually a huge problem. Is there are all these questions that the group has about, like, hey, are we allowed to do this sexual thing even though we're married? So yeah, it bothered me when I was a Jehovah's Witness that Jesus was never tempted sexually, because I felt like in the JW conception of Jesus as balancing out the scales of Adam, Adam was tempted by his wife, and Jesus was just tempted by Satan coming up like Gollum and challenging him. Oh no. Let's watch the video.
And how nice it would be to have bread. Obviously.
How nice it would be to have bread.
So rather than dwell on the temptation, Jesus rejected it immediately using Jehovah's word. And we need to do the same. When tempted, we redirect our thoughts drawing strength from Jehovah's Word, perhaps even quoting Bible verses that pertain to the temptation we're facing. That's living on Jehovah's Word.
That's madness, actually. Constantly being aware of and trying to corral every thought in your head is absolutely insane. I mean, we've all played the Twilight Princess minigame where you have to corral those goats. That can be really annoying if there's one that gets stuck in a corner and it takes like 10 minutes on a thing that's supposed to take you 2 minutes. I don't remember where I was going with that, but yeah, this is an example of how you brainwash yourself. And that's part of what the cult does, is it gives you the tools to indoctrinate yourself so that it feels like a thing that you're discovering rather than a thing that they're imposing on you. You feel like you're learning because they're giving you tools that look like study tools. They create this simulation of research when it's not really. It's just a self-fulfilling feedback loop. Yeah, it's our nifty little JW trick. And that is what we call it on this channel. It's the nifty trick.
A person who is tempted to view pornography could memorize and then quote to himself such verses as Job 31:1. I have made a covenant with my eyes. Psalm 119:37. Turn my eyes away from looking at what is worthless.
But you can see how this literally creates new neural pathways in your brain and starts to shutter off other ones. Like it's not you're not like hooked up to the scream machine from Monsters Inc. where they just kind of like suction something onto you, you know, and abstract something. Like that's not what they're doing. That's not what brainwashing is. First of all, because it was a scream abstraction machine, so that was a bad example. But second of all, because what they're really doing is just like having you repeat these little Serenity Now type affirmations in your head. When you think of this, start to think of this instead and repeat this thing to yourself and recite these Bible verses. And if you start to really feel out of control, just, you know, call an elder or start doing even more stuff in the organizations. Think about volunteering at Bethel. That way you're so busy living the organization that you don't even have time to stop and think about all the things that are tempting you. You'll just be busy morning, afternoon, and night, all the time working for the Watchtower. And so that's the kind of self-reinforcing feedback loop, the nifty trick
Matthew
that we're talking about.
Everyone who keeps on looking has committed adultery in his heart.
Yeah, that's a really fucked up thing to tell somebody because it isn't the same. Thinking about doing a thing and doing a thing are not the same. And the way that our minds work, as soon as they say that, it is now in your brain, isn't it? Like, if they say, when they make a movie where they show Satan tempting Jesus and then they parallel that to a critic of the organization trying to get you to read a critical article, that's just really putting that stuff in your brain, and then you start repeating it. Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. My brain is eroding.
119:37. Turn my eyes away from looking at what is worthless.
Yeah, but all it's really doing is causing you to like constantly be hyper aware of something that brings you shame. And then that brings you close to the group. If you feel constantly inadequate, if you have really low self-worth, then you don't feel like you deserve anything better. Like, you feel like you deserve to feel shitty. It's why they're constantly saying, like, life is more than any of us deserve. And we don't deserve life. We're just dust. And we don't deserve to seek great things for ourselves. It is not up to mankind to direct his step. And so you just, like, it makes you feel shitty, and it tells you that the only hope is this magical time in the future where nobody will feel shitty anymore, except all the people who made you feel shitty for being a Jehovah's Witness. They'll be destroyed in this epic, bloodlusty way.
Matthew 5:28. Everyone who keeps on looking has committed adultery in his heart.
Why did he say it so weird?
Or Philippians.
This guy was also on the convention last year, and he has kind of... I feel like every assembly has a guy that talks
part of this
like
symposium, imitate
There's a few
Jesus'
JW
responses
accents.
to the tempter. Don't test.
Yes,
Jehovah.
everything is undeserved. Undeserved kindness. Bible over back shots. Yeah, exactly. Look at Banner, Michael. Ayo. Amazing. Awkward silence.
Satan failed with his first temptation, so he now moves on to a second.
Whoa. Dramatically setting the scene as regards Satan. All right, let's get to our next entry in the needlessly complicated internal struggles of your average Jehovah's Witness, where mundane decisions become cosmic battles between Satan and God. And we are but pawns.
I have so many more about your dad to tell you. I have so many more. I can tell you right.
That one tonight. But speaking of back in the day, look what I found.
Oh. Whoa, that was you and Chris.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, Pioneer School.
Mm-hmm. That feels like a million years ago.
Well, hey, listen. Thanks for bringing dinner over.
Of course.
Happy to do it. But I gotta go get some rest. Y'all keep catching up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get some good rest, Shay.
Yeah, rest up.
So you guys, you seeing Nikki's post?
Come in.
Hey, Sheila.
Hey.
How are you feeling?
Not good. It's been a rough week.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, if it's any consolation, you look gorgeous.
Oh, girl, I don't know about that.
You do.
I cannot imagine anything in my entire life more depressing than living with cancer and the side effects of chemotherapy and what you're doing to keep your mind away from that is studying Watchtower magazines in the Bible and studying all the different ways that you're supposed to feel shame. Absolutely depressing. Like, this is depressing on a pretty profound level.
Let's take a selfie.
Let's not
I'll
think
show
about
you.
it. Let's make fun of it.
Gorgeous, Sheila. Yes. Come on, get up.
It's not easy because it's about cancer. I'll be totally honest with you.
Make sure we look good.
Wow. This would appear to be Watchtower warning about the power of the selfie. I don't think... they definitely don't like selfies. They've made entire music videos about how you should put your phone away and not take constant videos and pictures of yourself. And this is kind of a new version of that. Yeah, sure.
This would actually be a perfect post for this group that I follow. You should join.
Oh,
This is
no.
for witnesses, and we share stories about our personal
George is
health
getting upset.
journeys and
Me, I'm George.
spiritual thought.
Okay, well, this is going to be really annoying, and so in order to fully equip ourselves for every good work, we're going to have to say hello to Peachy the dog! Hi, Peachy. It's a peach break. We have to take a peach break sometimes when things get just too depressing, and we have to remember that good and pure things exist in this world, such as the greatest dog
In the
world.
world.
in the world. Peaches, T, dog. The T stands for
Aw.
Tiberius.
She's gonna fall asleep.
Peach, I know I just made up that thing about your middle name. I know it's not true.
Tiberius. Yeah, that's not.
She's
not
being extra cute, though. She's
I
being a little
know.
less shy. She's, like, trying to
She's
get
like-
different angles.
She knows how to work the camera.
She does. Yeah. I taught her well. Oh, God. Sorry. Never again. Okay. Well, thankfully, we got a nice reminder of God's many harmless animals.
Our spiritual paradise is a place that has many harmless animals.
Now, what do we mean by this?
Well, okay, where last we left off, I don't know if that made sense. We were following this story of a sick Jehovah's Witness who has cancer, and her friend, is this her like actual sister or is this just a friend, is saying like, hey, first of all, let's take a selfie because you look beautiful. Very dangerous starting to think that you look beautiful. It's not really a thing you're really allowed to think as a Jehovah's Witness. And second of all, you should join this support group I'm in. That is very dangerous. You are assigned one support group, thank you very much. It's the Worldwide Order of Jehovah's Witnesses. Not the right name, but that's what they're saying here. You're not allowed to be in any kind of group, even if it's just a support group for people undergoing chronic illness.
It is very inspiring.
That's what it seems like to me.
If people could hear your truth, you would be an encouragement.
Oh,
to
they
so
hate
many
this.
people.
They
I
hate
don't
your
think
truth.
Anybody wants to hear from me.
Good. That's the right attitude. That is how you should think as a Jehovah's Witness. Nobody wants to hear from me. I will just quietly rot in my bed reading magazines written at a second grade reading level.
Shayla, you really need
about
to
why
think
our
more
group is
of
going to kill
yourself.
all the bad guys in Armageddon.
When was the last time you really felt heard? Cancer has taken so
All these just kind of, I don't know, hippy-dippy liberal aphorisms that kind of don't mean anything, but affirm in some way that you're a person and your name is Anakin? No, that you're just like, hey, you're a person, you have value, you have a story to tell. Other people will gather, could be upbuilt, as Jehovah's Witnesses would say. But nope, they don't like that. The only truth is the truth. That's exactly right. And I think I said it when we were talking about this last week, but I find I'm going to speak my truth, I guess as a phrase I find that cringy, but that's just because it's an overused phrase. But I think the point of it is just, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story, but you do not have a story as a Jehovah's Witness. Maybe you have an origin story of like the before picture and a before and after picture. You had your shitty life as a worldly person and now the best life ever as a Jehovah's Witness. And like, you're allowed that kind of story. But all glory goes to God, and you are all one unified body as Jehovah's Witnesses. So you're really not allowed to have a unique perspective. Any original idea, any idea of your own originality, they would say, that's you being full of yourself. And this is something that I had a hard time, and I still struggle with getting over, this mentality, because this is the thing that I had to pelt into my own brain and would have reiterated through indoctrination like this when I was a Jehovah's Witness. But the reality is, like, we as humans all need each other, and we all do need to hear each other's stories and like our truths. Like we are not one like united hive mind like Jehovah's Witnesses, but we all need each other, and we do need to all like share our truths, our individual perspectives, and it's all that makes a society. And it's kind of messy, but it is more fulfilling than a cult, because everybody kind of has to choose to get along when it's all working as intended. But that is antithetical to how totalist groups work, totalitarian or authoritarian cult structures. Everybody is just one limb on this body, which is the organization or the leader or the party, whatever it is. And so you don't have your own original ideas. It all is just kind of this story that you have collectively as a group, and you are just one little cog in that machine. Yeah.
much from you.
So they don't like that, obviously.
Don't you want to feel better?
Right? Right? Hey, thanks, Esther. I agree that people should hit the like button, despite this being quite an unlikable video.
And a link to that social media page. I think your story can go witness viral.
Whoa! Witness viral? What does... That must be a popular enough phrase within Jehovah's Witnesses that people are going to understand this. I hope. Or maybe this is Watchtower kind of pulling a, how do you do, fellow kids, and they have no idea how people talk. Mr. Sato in the house.
Hey girl, here's the selfie of us and a link to that social media page. I think your story can go witness viral.
Witness
Hey everyone, I just
viral.
wanted to share my daily scriptural tip with you guys. Thank you so much for following.
Whoa, 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 whoa. So they're really... I wish I would have seen this coming. But I think they're so stupid for doing this. And, you know, I do like to give credit where it's due when I think that they're being crafty. But no, I think that they've just shot themselves in the foot with this. So, like I was saying, you're not really allowed to have your own individual truth. The reason why... I was trying to process this in my head. Like, why would they be against somebody telling their cancer story on the internet? Like, fuck that. What are you talking about? But the reason why is because at some point you have to acknowledge that it does take a lot of personal strength to get through that. Like, it does take community, but it also takes a lot of personal strength. And it takes a lot of, like... I would imagine getting over a lot of anger. Like, I don't have cancer, but I would imagine, like, just the emotions are really complicated. And dealing with those complicated emotions is exactly what Watchtower does not want, because they want it to be very simple. There's negative thinking and there's positive thinking. There's being selfish and there's being a servant of Jehovah. There's no room for nuance. But I've never had cancer, but I had surgery a couple years ago. I had to have my whole colon removed due to Crohn's disease, and now I have an ostomy bag. And, you know, it makes me uncomfortable to talk about, to be honest, because it's the thing I'm most self-conscious about my own body. But I do like to bring it up sometimes because I noticed when I was going through this, like, very quickly, wow, I never see my body type, somebody with an ostomy bag, portrayed in media at all, ever. Like, maybe it's referenced as a negative joke, like a gross out joke, but I just never ever see it. Nobody ever talks about it. And I was suddenly very aware of that. And the only thing that got me through that was having little online communities of people who had gone through that. And I'll tell you what, to give a shout out to a real one, Mark Martin, I believe his name is. I hope I'm remembering his name. But he is a Christian ex-Jehovah's Witness. He has a Christian channel. And, you know, I'm an atheist. And I sometimes say not nice things about, like, Christian exJWs. But Mark Martin, like, he kind of personally made it a point to reach out and talk to me because he had gone through similar health issues. And he's talked about it on his own channel. So I feel comfortable telling you that. But, you know, that shit was really, really important to me. He would not approve of me using the word, the S word just now. I should try and be on my best behavior. But I don't know if I ever told him how much I appreciated that. But this cynical, fucking awful video that Jehovah's Witnesses made is reminding me how important it was to have people who weren't Jehovah's Witnesses in my corner. One thing I have talked about is, because this all happened as I was being disfellowshipped, right? So at the exact moment I was having a surgery, I was shunned and all that. Well, just a member of my community whose real name I never learned, I just knew her as Apostate Sarah, started a GoFundMe to help with our medical bills. And it's the only reason why we're not, you know, totally screwed financially to this day. And that was just a random stranger being kind, and a lot of people in this chat and people I'll never meet just donating to help a stranger in a time of need. it's kind of fucked up that we live in a world where we, at the very least for me, live in a country where we can't just rely on, free medical care, and we have to rely on things like crowdfunding to just have the necessary medical care that we need. But that is the case a lot of times, and so I just wanted to say that because it's a beautiful thing, actually. This sort of thing, people talking about their experience, like Hank Green talking about his cancer experience, I think is really powerful for a lot of people. It was clearly helpful for him and all that. And so, like, imagine Jehovah's Witnesses trying to take that away from him, saying, no, Hank, you're not allowed to post about that, actually. And it would actually be bad if other people saw what you had to say about it. It's just crazy. And I think I had a hard time excavating that sort of mentality, that it's like, it's not pretentious to talk about that stuff if you're doing it for the right reasons. I mean, you could definitely turn into a total grifter and use it as like your sob story to be like, and this is why you need to sign up for my lifestyle course where I teach you how to overcome blah blah. Anyway.
My video is just
Commentary. We love commentary, folks.
Hi everyone that may be watching. I just really wanted to share with you all my truth about this whole experience.
Updating friends and family is one thing, but this feels wrong.
Because this would mean, I suppose, expanding your friends and family outside of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, that's really what it's about, is you're no longer yourself exclusive to the group. You are supposed to be in an exclusive relationship with Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? And you heard in these little videos she was watching that people were talking about their prayers. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses know that non-witness prayers are total bullshit. So what kind of crazy ideas are you going to start having in your head as Jehovah's Witness if you hear a Catholic or a Protestant or a Muslim or a Jewish person's talking about their prayers and how they help them? That would cause you all sorts of cognitive dissonance. You'd have to accept that maybe Jehovah's Witnesses don't have exclusive truth. And if you start thinking that, then you're not going to be giving any more money or free labor to Jehovah's Witnesses. And you might, worst of all, give us bad press. And that's the last thing we want. Yep, again, contrast with the Mormons. Absolutely insane. Oh, yeah, and I mentioned why I think it's shooting them in the foot. And it's because if you have members who are so excited about being Jehovah's Witnesses and they're so comfortable and confident with it that they will post on social media about it, that is such a win. Like, that's an unbelievable win, because back when I was growing up, you wouldn't have done that, because it would have been seen as totally cringe. You would have kept that off of social media because it would have been embarrassing. But social media, witnesses do have social media accounts, and what most witnesses do is they just have locked accounts, and if somebody kind of has #JW.org in their bio or whatever, they'll friend them. And they're funny, like they'll make videos that are just like unique TikToks for Jehovah's Witnesses. Instagram, there are JW famous people, like that's what they're referencing earlier in the video. But that actually is good because it serves to normalize the religion. It makes your members feel like they're not so alien. They're allowed to do normal things like have a TikTok or an Instagram. And Watchtower is really coming down here and saying, no, you are not. Do not post about this stuff on social media, even if it's something, perhaps especially if it's something deeply personal, because they don't want your story to inspire other people. The only thing that is allowed to inspire other people is the religion. So you just aren't allowed to take any kind of credit for your own successes in life, or just even accept that you personally have enough value that what you've gone through could bolster somebody else. That's too much self-validation for somebody in a cult. Yeah.
If you are a son of God, throw yourself down.
That's wild.
Satan tried to get Jesus to draw undue attention to himself.
That is not what it was about. To draw undue attention to himself, you have to really be abstracting the lesson of, like, Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. It wasn't about that, was it? It was about, like, use your godly powers for selfish reasons to fulfill a fleshly desire, like power, hunger, but not like, I mean, oh my God, it is, I think you might be right about this, honestly. This might be an episode of That's Not What's Happening.
That is not what is happening. That is not what is happening.
No, Watchtower, that's not what's happening. The Satan wasn't tempting Jesus to draw more attention to himself. Jesus wanted to get the attention of everybody he possibly could so he could preach the good news far and wide. So it actually would have been a little bit better if he did draw more attention to himself, including that one time where he basically did a weird publicity stunt by riding a donkey into town and drawing a bunch of attention to himself and giving massive speeches in front of hundreds of people. Because although Jesus himself was a charismatic preacher, the thing that he was ultimately glorifying was God. You know, like you think you're doing every time you get on the broadcast, you crusty old motherfuckers. Like, that's how they justify it in their own brain, is ultimately, well, we're doing it for Jehovah. That's the same thing that you're the plastics for Mean Girls, but pioneers in the congregation who have Instagram reels. Like, okay, just let them do that because it's good for everybody all around. But this just goes to show you, these people are not, like, by these people, I mean the governing body, they're not playing 4D chess, okay? Like, they're playing Connect 4, but they all think that they were appointed by Jesus Christ to play the greatest game of Connect 4 of all time. This analogy is getting away from me. But I'm saying that, like, not everything they do makes sense strategically because they make impulsive, crazy decisions that make them look bad all the time. A lot of cult documentaries get into that, where the cult leader keeps drawing negative attention to himself because he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand, how they come across to others. I think Jehovah's Witnesses probably wouldn't make a lot of these videos if they understood how they did come across to others. To us,
You
we
must
might
not
say.
put Jehovah, your God, to the test.
Your God. Oi, Satan. Satan,
No matter
bruv.
what I'm going through, I need to focus on what Jehovah promises and not bring unnecessary attention to myself.
Oh, it's so fucking disgusting. And you can see how I've really pivoted the other direction because here I am drawing intentional attention to myself all the time for validation. Like and subscribe. Soak in that applause, brother. Wait, I don't want to dox this guy.
How can we imitate Jesus' response to this second temptation? Well,
Yes. Remember when Jesus was tempted by being an influencer? So he did just become an influencer and was so influential that he started a religion that ended up being named after him.
We can imitate Jesus by rejecting Satan's attempts to have us test Jehovah through disobedience.
Test Jehovah through disobedience. Ew! God is just this irritable, toe-tapping jail warden who's just 3 strikes you're out, mister, and he'll beat the shit out of you. You're testing his patience.
And like Jesus,
You're lucky he
remain on
doesn't
guard so
zap
as
you
not
to
to
death.
be misled by any unstable ones who twist and misapply the scriptures. And as pure worshipers, exalt Jehovah God rather than draw attention to ourselves.
Hey, I'm
The
going to draw
main
attention to
point-
myself real quick. Esther M., thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you for exposing the harmful antics the governing body uses to keep control of their gullible members. It's true. I think gullible is the right word. too, because that is what it, like, we're all gullible about something. Nobody can actually be an expert on everything, which means we all have blind spots, and that's why the greatest risk that you have for joining a cult is, like, whatever your blind spot is. Thinking that you can't be tricked is actually a great way to be tricked, because you think that you're above it. Like, well, if this was a cult, I would know, because I'm not the kind of person who would fall for something like that. So I know exactly what I'm doing. And that's why I think, like, sometimes I feel pretty confident that I would not join Jehovah's Witnesses of my own volition. Like, if I was raised in a totally secular family or Catholic or something, I don't think that I would join Jehovah's Witnesses on purpose. But sometimes I'll watch a documentary for a cult, and I'm like, oh, I would join that one. A lot of people, it is the cult in Midsommar. I've heard people say that the reason why they find it scary is because they can see themselves joining that group. I definitely did not have that with the cult in Midsommar, but the twin flames thing I got, like, not me now as a satisfied married adult, but like the 19-year-old me who is a total romantic and desperate, and you know, I still do believe in that soulmate thing, in whatever not spiritual sense, but just I believe in those kind of powerful connections and stuff. And so I could totally see myself joining the Twin Flames cult, if I was a younger, more vulnerable person. And so I think, like, that's the thing with cults is it's easy to watch stuff like this and you're like, oh my God, I would never fall for this. But, maybe if you're a yoga person, you might fall for that version of it. Now, why the fuck are we talking about that? I don't know. Oh, because it's the word gullible. Yeah, and I think that's people convince themselves that they're not gullible, and that's why they're drawn to people like Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson just presents himself as this, like, philosopher who's just as generally knowledgeable about everything in the universe. And if you're the kind of person who's like, well, I couldn't possibly ever be tricked by ideology because I'm just knowledgeable about everything in the universe, it's like, well, you're blind to your blind spots, and that actually does make you gullible. Sorry, I'm kind of talking through some idea. I've been trying to write a little, like, manifesto for a video on what is a cult, but not using any existing framework, like trying to just kind of talk through it. It's kind of hard to do, to define something like that includes all cults and excludes everything that's not a cult. It's hard.
Don't test Jehovah. Instead, imitate Jesus by refusing to engage in any activity that could jeopardize
But also,
our
I do
physical
generally feel
or
like a gullible
spiritual
person.
well-being. We recognize that it is wrong to deliberately put ourselves in harm's way, whether physical or spiritual, and then expect Jehovah to save us.
Oh, God, that's so gross and manipulative. That's literally the, like, but what was she wearing? It's like, oh, okay, this terrible thing happened to you, but what was your relationship with Jehovah like? Because if it was bad, then maybe you deserved the bad thing that happened. I mean, that's what a lot of us face when we leave this group, is the group teaches that terrible things are going to happen when you leave. And of course, there are terrible things that happen as a result of leaving a high control, high demand religion, like shunning and being cut off from your social structure. So then, of course, bad things do happen. Maybe financial difficulties because you worked for a Jehovah's Witness, or you were reliant on the congregation for certain things. You live with your parents, but now they kicked you out. And so then bad things happen, and they say, see, we told you bad things were going to happen. And so that can really mess with your head when you've left a group like this and bad things start to happen. But what you got to remember is that bad things happen to them too. And when bad things happen to them, they're like, see, that's Satan. He's trying to get to me because I'm doing such a good job serving God or serving the leader or whatever. So you can never win. Everything is your fault. There's an excuse for everything. When bad things happen to Jehovah's Witnesses, they just have a way of excusing it. Bye, Apostate Barbie. Thanks for hanging out with us. But this is really, really gross. Just using whatever little social media platform you have to try and help other people with cancer. That would be a little pretentious, don't you think? Aren't you so full of yourself? Person dying of cancer.
Do that would in effect be
fuck
testing
these people. Like, fuck that. That is so disgusting. I can't listen to another second of that guy. Getting physically ill. Ooh, alright. We're gonna get to the next chapter of A Day in the Life of Jehovah's Witnesses. Hey, thank you, the Poor Man's Philosopher, for the $1 super chat. Yeah, God cannot be tested, but also you're really testing his patience if you do too many sins in a row.
Things that claim to make us happy. Or Satan may appeal to our pride.
Okay, hang on. I want to hear his setup for this video.
To experience
context. We're connoisseurs of context on this stream.
For us tempting opportunities.
And on blank check.
To enjoy material things. Again, Satan takes a truth and twists it into a lie. The truth is that Jehovah has promised all of us an abundance of material things in the new system. But for us to receive those blessings, we need to do Jehovah's will, we need to endure the hardships of the last days, and yes, we need to wait. We have to wait.
Okay, so this, definitely remember this little principle when it comes to understanding Christian nationalists, because that is a big part of how they are spinning the already bad economy and the kind of like inevitable collapse of certain things this summer when, like, because of the supply chains being fucked up. Like, the way that they spin this, the Christian nationalists, is that, like, it's this. You are going to get treasures in heaven. You are going to get these material rewards. But first you have to suffer bravely for the cause. And if you do that, if you have this spirit of self-sacrifice, then you will be richly rewarded. And so that's how they spin, like, the lean times when you're in a cult, is like, this is a test. We have to endure the lean times, but we'll be rewarded with a bounteous harvest. And they say it just like that. And so they can never be wrong. And so then when good times happen, they can say, see, we're being rewarded by God. Yeah, you're waiting to be materialistic in paradise. And that's, I know. And you can see by the way they depict real life that the leaders of this group are materialistic to a certain degree, because their conception of what an average working class life is like in the United States is totally wrong.
Wait for Jehovah's appointed time to experience the complete fulfillment.
Wait for Jehovah's time.
So Satan tries to twist this truth
on
by
JT,
saying,
Jehovah's time.
In the new system, you'll have everything you want materially. But why wait? Just take a shortcut. Skip the self-sacrifice. You could have your own little paradise
Why
right
wait,
now.
little Billy?
Well, as he did with Jesus, Satan may tempt us with the desire of the eyes. He may
I think that's a
show us
materialistic tie.
material
Absolutely.
things. It could be in the forms of advertisements showing us material products, advertising
Don't
travel,
fall for
whatever the case,
materialistic
things that claim
advertisements.
to make us happy. Or Satan may appeal to our pride, offering us a measure of authority or power or glory when it comes to the system of things. It could be
how prideful it would be to share your experience dealing with a cancer diagnosis online. That's like wanting to be the biggest celebrity in the
a lucrative
world.
Career, something that helps us to sustain a lavish lifestyle. Again, chasing after the desire of the eyes. How can Jesus' example help us to resist the temptation
this guy
to pursue
works for
riches?
Lumen.
Let's watch the following dramatization.
A Lumen employee. Watch the following dramatization. Refiners.
So who wants dessert?
I'll have a little piece.
And I'm gonna have a lot.
Banter.
So, Aiden, what you been up to lately?
Aiden Ross.
Well, I'm about to graduate soon.
Sorry.
It's exciting.
I don't want to summon him.
Wait. And
He's just graduating? Like, is this high school graduation? Sorry, I was yapping.
well, I'm about to graduate soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I'm thinking about applying to Bethel.
Okay, Bethel. All right, really?
Yeah.
That's cigarette smoke, if anybody is watching.
Okay. Bethel's nice, but you got to think about your future.
Yeah.
How will you support
Nothing weird.
yourself, or how would you support a wife after?
I understand this is cringe. I want to just say for the record, I understand that this is cringe. That I just took a hit of something. No, it was just a little pre-roll from the like fucking gas station. So I understand that's cringe, and I just want to apologize. And I'll pray on this.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Going forward for this behavior.
I'm thinking about applying to Bethel.
Okay, Bethel. All right, really?
Speaking of cringe.
I've been wanting to do it since I was a kid.
Okay. Bethel's nice, but you got to think about your future.
Yeah.
How will you support yourself, or how would you support a wife after Bethel?
You can still serve
wife.
Jehovah right here.
That's true.
I know. I get it. When I was
Very foolish. To think that you should invest in an earthly job in Satan's doomed system of things. I mean, that's what they're saying. If you go to... I whistled there. That's never happened before, but that's the first time for everything. Yeah, if you go to college, that's very selfish, because that's precious time on this earth that you could have been spending preaching and furthering Jehovah's purpose. It's being selfish to in any way invest in your own future, pursue your own dreams, because what are these dreams? Save that for paradise. That part comes later. For now, it's sacrifice. Thank you to the Poor Man's Philosopher for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you taking time every Sunday for this. Always good points, good conversation. And oh, sorry, I kind of burped. I'm an asshole. But no, I was actually just doing an impression of a person that burps. That's why that happened. Bethel, isn't that where all the pillows get all sticky? They were talking about being sticky earlier, weren't they?
They told me the end could come tomorrow too.
Yeah.
But look at us. We have a real comfortable life.
And we're still witnesses, Aiden. You're so young and smart. They're so...
Wow. The implied message of the video being, no, they're not. They're not doing everything, so they're not good enough. So let that be a lesson to any Jehovah's Witnesses out there, or anybody who wants to join Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not that you have to just be signed up. It's that you have to be active all the time. You're only as good as your best, as is your last day, really. Like, you're only as good as your last good spiritual deed as a Jehovah's Witness. Because if you, if you struggle with sexual thoughts, like that guy earlier who wanted to fap, but he had to say no. Well, if you struggle with that, then something. I forget what I was saying.
Many opportunities open to you right now. It's nice that you have spiritual goals, truly. But you also need to be realistic.
He's being realistic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, it's not enough just to sign up and be a Jehovah's Witness. You have to be a stellar Jehovah's Witness. If you give in to temptation, then you might as well be an apostate in the world. The only real benefit is... The only real benefit is that you're closer to the on-ramp than a lot of these worldly people who are going to have to start sprinting if they want to get on the ark before the flood comes.
And there's a lot of ways you can serve Jehovah at Bethel.
Like what? Washing windows?
But if it means putting Jehovah first, is there anything wrong with that?
Of course, nothing's wrong with that. It's just that he could have so much more.
Anyway, lunch was amazing.
Wanting
Thank you so
more
much, Shayla.
is
I can't believe you
satanic.
did all of this for us.
How dare you want more than just enough?
Love for Jehovah moves us to put kingdom interests ahead of...
The Gap guy.
Hey, you okay? Yeah.
Oh, the Fab guy.
Hey, don't let Chris and Nikki get in your head. Their focus seems to be off.
Their focus seems to be off. Don't let them get in your head. That's satanic reasoning. the idea that you would choose to get an education rather than work at a publishing company and sleep in a dorm, that's Satan talking.
Did you want to talk about it?
No, I think I'm good. Thanks, Dad. Okay.
That's why it's like, when your dad is an elder, anytime he knocks on your door, it's like, police, open up. Because it's like, they're not just your dad, they're like a spiritual cop. Just generally. Speaking of ones, not me, not my dad in particular, everything's fine. Yeah, I think I saw like Jenny's comment earlier, which is like, and then what if he doesn't get accepted to Bethel? Then what? You have to just go with your backup plan of pioneering and working a part-time job.
With what the world could offer.
A vanishingly feasible
focus on
thing to do in the United States, anyway.
He focused.
Yeah, be happy with the
doing his
bare minimum. Good call. That totally is stock footage, social media feed. Yo, how are the parents so wealthy? Because they have this nice-ass house. Oh. Here's what you should do. Sit down and listen to this crusty old white man teach you about some shit Isaiah said 9,000 years ago. That'll get your head right. That'll get you right with Jesus. This isn't our friend from the last year. No. There was a guy who had a very unique way of speaking last year that, boy, I'd be so thrilled if we got another glimpse of him. The one who said, "A brother approached me with a very warm smile." Any real ones in chat who remember that guy?
Jesus Christ, in each of these occasions, never relied upon his own thinking.
Hashtag never again said Jesus.
Always relied on the authority of God's word of truth, and he accurately applied the scriptures. Jesus Christ set a beautiful example in defending truth and honoring Jehovah, and in doing so, he set a beautiful, perfect example for us to follow. Suppose someone that you know or that you are close to.
This is actually a really good point. Is it Joe or Hui? Joe Trevino. My backup plan was MTS, and now 90% of what they taught is obsolete. That's a great point. Like, MTS, if you don't know, is Ministerial Training School, a thing that I don't think technically exists anymore, but they just have a new name for it, like the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. The School for Kingdom Evangelizers. To quote, which one was that? Mark Sanderson? Again, real ones know. I'm dropping some deep cuts for the stream highlights. No, this is way too long to ever do stream highlights of. But yeah, if you went to ministerial training school like in the 90s, other than the Paradise in 1914, nothing that you believe is the same. All the doctrines have shifted. Maybe a couple times over in that time. And that's why you have to go to a re-education ceremony, seminar, I don't know what you'd call it. It's very strange. Okay, but I think this guy was about to set up this video that we're going to watch. I think it might be the apostate video, but you know what? I'm excited to watch it again. I'm in this for the long haul.
Christ set a beautiful example in defending truth.
Beautiful.
And honoring Jehovah.
It's terrific.
And in doing so, he set a beautiful, perfect example for us to follow. Suppose someone that you know or that you are close to, they begin to grasp and cling to the misinformation or the bad teachings of apostates.
Oh.
And then they want to share it with you. What would you do?
This is very strange because my family who are Jehovah's Witnesses, they'll be watching this at their convention thinking, oh my God, this happened to me, right? And like people who in my life know me, I mean, those who haven't forgotten me. No, like it'll come to mind like, oh wow, yeah, I had a friend who was an apostate, so this is realistic. It's very weird to think of stuff like that on edibles.
Well, to answer that,
Slash
please give
because
your
of them.
attention to the following dramatization.
Yeah, what is the misinformation? I'm sure they'll tell us.
About your future.
If people could hear.
Okay, so we did see this before, but just for posterity, we're gonna watch it again.
Your truth. You would be an encouragement to so many.
That's a good way to put it.
When I was your age, they told me all the time that the end could come tomorrow. But look at us. We're still here.
Good point. Good point. That will go unaddressed.
What's wrong?
Everybody who forewent education, like anybody who gave up some part of their lives, maybe even having kids for the organization because they thought the end was going to come. Nope, that wasn't a waste of time, even though it totally was. Because you'll be rewarded in paradise.
They're different.
There's a disturbance in the force. In the Holy Spirit.
I kind of felt that too.
You know, whenever I ask them how things going in their congregation, he won't give me a straight answer.
Echoes meowing at me.
And he's
What's
always
attention?
shifting the conversation to something negative about the organization.
You must never speak negatively about your governing body
What are you gonna
friends.
I don't know.
They're your best friends, after all.
But I sure hope I'm wrong.
If I'm not wrong, so help me God, I'll kill him. Watching disappointing pornography on his computer.
Hey, Justin, I want you to read this article I just sent you. It's gonna change the way you see the organization.
Oh, no. Change it from only positive all the time, necessarily, because my entire self-perception is based on the fact that the organization is the truth.
Better yet, why are you reading that garbage? It's all lies.
Garbage? How do you know if it's garbage if you haven't even read it?
Listen,
Great question.
you need to talk with your
Oh,
elders.
but maybe just listen to something else,
You need
though.
help.
Let's not address that.
And if you don't speak to them, I will.
This guy just keeps making good points that go unaddressed, and that's that's a spicy meatball? No. It's like, always be weaving, always be doing the weave in your argumentation. Like, if somebody hits you with an argument that you can't answer, just change the subject to another talking point that you've memorized. Never engage critically.
That's what you feel. I
with
need
criticism.
help.
Never.
I don't need any help, man. I'm finding the answers to my questions, bro. And I'm keeping an open mind.
No, you're not supposed to do that.
Open mind? You're ignoring Jehovah's thinking. The truth saved our
Grab
lives.
some fucking duct tape for that mind, Sonny. We gotta close that mind up.
Look, man, how long have we known each other? I would never steer you wrong. I'm not out to hurt you. I'm trying to help you.
Isn't that exactly, literally, one for one the same as Satan and Jesus?
How long have
Totally
you known me?
comparable.
Tell these stones.
How long have we known each other?
Of bread.
I'm trying to share with you the truth.
Me, your
Prove
lifelong
yourself
friend, am
down.
tempting you.
Do you really think I would steer you wrong?
You know, this is pretty different. I'll just state, for the record, telling someone, hey, you should read this critical report on the organization, it suggests that the group may not have the truth and may be lying to you about something. That's a little different from you've been fasting for 40 days and Satan says, if you bow down and worship to me, the devil, I'll give you the keys to the kingdom. Not super similar, in my opinion, but that doesn't matter. They're putting the images side by side, so they must be the same.
Give you all this authority.
Yes, it's emotional
I definitely
blackmail.
don't need any help from them.
Do an act of worship before me.
Yep,
Go
exactly.
away, Satan.
Stop. There's only
Stop.
one
Go
truth,
away, Satan, my
and it
old
comes from
friend.
Jehovah.
You're gonna walk away like that. What are you so afraid of? Man,
Great
stop
question.
being a coward.
Great point. No, I'm driving away. No. I'm fleeing like Jesus would. I'm running away from Satan, just like all the good guys in the Bible. Like, what? I mean, the cognitive dissonance here is absolutely bananas. How much of being a Jehovah's Witness is standing up for your beliefs and preaching, proudly preaching door to door and publicly, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. But not here. Not if it's responding to criticisms. We don't even want you to know what the criticisms are. And the second you get the sense that anybody is about to say something negative, run. Just veer out of the parking lot, full speed, drive away, and picture some creepy CGI angels in your head. Yeah, it totally is. It's la la la. I can't hear you.
Jehovah, your God, you must worship.
Like, nope. You're not saying anything bad about.
And it is to Him alone.
About the governing body. Nope.
You must render sacred service.
You must render sacred service. There's nothing wrong with this organization, but you must render us sacred service, or else. Yay! Clap for that. Applause. Let's hear how he justifies this.
Isn't that a powerful dramatization?
Sounds like the King of Red Lions.
Is truly a sad reality of what exists today. Did you note how the family in the video strengthened themselves by considering the example of Jesus Christ?
Did you notice how they considered? This guy is just like making one of those suicide sodas, suicide sodas, where you mix all the different kind of sodas together. Did you guys call that a suicide? That's what we called it in my neck of the woods.
How Jesus' example helped them to stand firm.
Remember that edible?
Resist the negative influences of the family who were overreached.
Notice the entire video.
As noted in our video, if we're what should we do? Well, to answer that, turn in your Bibles to the book of 1 Peter.
Like a little baby.
1 Peter chapter 3.
Run away like a coward.
And let's read verse 15.
All right.
Well, to answer that, turn in your Bibles to the book of Jude.
Oh my God. All right. That's the end of that. But guys, I think that there's another part. I think that there's another part to Friday. But I'm having a good time. Are we all having a good time? I'll watch the next one. If we're all chill. If we're all being chill friends. Let's see. Right, we did Friday morning, part 1, morning, afternoon, part 1, and then this is afternoon, part 2. Let's see how long this is.
Jehovah gives us the privilege of honoring him with our valuable things.
Oh, God, it's about money. Jehovah gives us the privilege of honoring him with our valuable things. So it's going to be about money.
Those who wish to give financial support to the kingdom work can donate using any of the contribution boxes. Those making a contribution by check should make the check payable to Jehovah's Witnesses. If possible, however, please donate online at...
Uncomfortable laughter from the audience. So, hey, courts and judicial systems, when they talk about their donations and stuff, like all these voluntary donations, this is how they're getting them, right? Like, they don't tell members what their money goes to. They don't know that they're going to cover up child sexual abuse. It's just make the check out to Jehovah's Witnesses. We'll send it where it needs to go.
Donate.jw.org.
Yeah, is this a good time for me to ask for super chats?
Donation, or if you wish to donate...
It'll go directly towards not being homeless.
Lessons from the land of Jesus, the Judean wilderness.
Lessons from the land of Jesus. The land before time, really.
Said that deepening your understanding of a place enriches your experience.
I like his glasses too.
Profound and practical.
Now, that pocket square, the like picnic pattern combined with his stripes, I don't know. I'm afraid I can't sign off on that. Oh my god, this is a recurring character. We saw this guy last year. He's like a fake historian. Like, he's clearly just some Jehovah's Witness guy who they think has a cool accent. And so they send him to museums. And he tells us what he learned. He's like, now this is the oldest scroll that we ever done seen. Coughed up by a crocodile.
Consider what it would
Consider
have been
it
like to be there yourself. Please enjoy.
Please enjoy. That's a command.
The Judean wilderness.
Aye, the wilderness, laddie.
Canyons. And
cliffs and canyons.
This is the land where John preached, and where Jesus spent 40 days and 40 nights.
Aye, it's John, innit? No, I don't care about this. I'll just be totally real with you. I don't care about that at all. It was nice to see our friend for a second. More lessons from the land of cheese. Well, okay, let's get a little taste. But this just kind of seems like a boring museum exhibit, but it's like at the Answers in Genesis Museum.
Will for him. But what would it have been like for you and I to be there?
This is literally the like, this is what I wore to my wedding, was this dark navy blue suit with that colored tie and pocket square.
To move out from the comfort of the
So I was ahead of the
cities
curve.
Into that wild, exposed countryside. Let's take a look at this video.
He had me at wild and exposed. I could have kept going.
The Jordan Valley.
The Jordan Valley.
Kilometers of rich and diverse terrain, including fertile plains and rugged
Yeah,
hills.
this is boring. This guy is really wasting our freaking time, man. I don't want to see all this shit. Whoa. Well, I actually do want to see this. I want to see this, like,
Stretched arms
Minecraft
to reach
level.
around it. And there were 162 of these in total. Some believe that this colonnade, next to the court of the Gentiles, provided shelter for the money
Gentiles, you
changers
see.
and those selling animals for sacrifice. So it may have been in this area that Jesus had his famous encounters with them.
The critical drinker's brother.
The court of the Gentiles was the largest section of the Temple Mount. It was
The luckiest and
accessible
most
to
charming
non-Jews
section.
and was also used as a shortcut to get to other parts.
A shortcut, laddie.
There were several
I
other courts,
don't believe
each
you.
one with a higher degree of sanctity, as they
Whoa.
led closer and closer to the
Now,
heart.
how can that be okay? Like, because that's what the Tower of Babel was, and God thought it was bad. Like, no, now it's cool to make buildings that are higher to signify being more sacred. And we don't need to talk about the physical appearance of any of the speakers. We can just skip past this boring David Attenborough stuff. Again, things that we don't need to comment on. Wait, I do want to see what this was.
He also knew how to be heard by them, loud and clear.
Whoa, okay, let's hear what he's talking about.
On
Capernaum!
a bit further down the shore. By simply bursting balloons in different locations and recording the sound, their measurements confirmed that if a speaker stood in
The
center of the
other
room,
white meat.
his volume would be louder and clearer than if he stood on the actual
The
shoreline.
thumbs from Spy Kids. Flip us a madman,
Although the
help us, save
researchers
us.
couldn't be sure exactly where on this shoreline Jesus preached from the boat.
I
they
don't know
concluded
exactly
that this
where.
type of location, a natural amphitheater, would have been an intelligent choice.
Oui.
So Jesus didn't just
no.
know where to find people. He also knew how to be heard by them, loud and clear.
How you say Jesus?
It's of note that at
Who is
least
this?
11 of Jesus' apostles came from Galilee. And when Holy Spirit was poured out in 33 CE,
Poured out the Holy
all
Spirit, he did.
120 in attendance were Galileans.
I'm so sorry. This commentary is unlistenable. Oh my goodness. It looks like in a character creation screen, if you just kind of randomize the settings, you know, these are kind of two variations of the same person. But we don't need to focus on that kind of thing. Oh my god, I love his glasses. Oh, this is so boring. Well, let's look at this animated painting. Oh, especially this violent one. Finally, some action. In form of a PowerPoint presentation.
Who lacked faith. By contrast, the non-Israelite army chief
Non-Israelite,
had
donkey.
exercised faith, resulting in a miraculous cure for his leprosy. The fact he was from Syria made his faith noteworthy.
Noteworthy it was.
The name Syria in the Bible refers to the large territory north and east of Israel. In Hebrew, it was called Aram. It stood on the crossroads of the ancient world. Like a bridge.
No, yeah. This is like... It is kind of like Shrek reading the story at the beginning of the movie Shrek. But very boring. And less Smash Mouth. Oh my god! It's the governing body! This is Jacob Rump. Jakey Rump.
Please give your full attention to Brother Jacob Rump,
And this is a child in
member
disguise.
of the governing body, as he presents the encouraging answer in the talk, "What does Jesus see in you?"
Yeah, wait a minute. That's not even right. Craig Ferguson, we could be so lucky. I love Craig Ferguson. What does Jesus see in you? Hey, buddy. What does Jesus see in
How would
Echo?
it make you feel to find out that someone knew all about you?
Just on its own, that's so creepy. That, and I didn't have to edit anything.
Nervous? Embarrassed?
Yes, a little bit.
Maybe a little stressed out. What will they do with what they know about me?
Oh my god! This is a weird power move by Jacob Rump.
But now, have you ever wondered...
Reminding him
thought
who's in
about
charge.
How much Jesus knows about you and me? But just think about what the Bible says about Jesus.
Jesus is kind of like the Proposition
Bible describes
Joe of
Jesus
heaven.
as the master worker. He was there with Jehovah.
We finished The Wire, greatest fucking
designing
show I've
all
ever seen.
things, including humans. And
Puny
not only does
humans
he
beneath
understand
me, the governing body
design,
member.
because he was there working.
This is beside the point, but also probably not, because it's probably going to be in the sequel to the Elon video now. Anybody watch Mountainhead yet? I thought... We watched it last night. Hot take, but I thought it was a masterpiece. I thought it was 10 out of 10.
Along with Jehovah.
I think that's going to be an unpopular opinion.
But he also understands a little bit more. Think
At
about
least
it
on
in
this we can
Genesis
agree.
chapter 1 and verse 26, where Jehovah directs his
Jeez, or
attention to
Jehovah.
Jesus and says, he says, let us make man in our image.
And how do you think they did it? Sex. Sexual relations. That's how they made man. God, Jehovah, and Jesus had sex with each other.
Well, that means that Jesus is so
Empreg.
familiar with our design because our design is similar to his.
Her character
He
design.
knows as much about us
From
as
the
he
great
knows about
cartoonist,
himself.
Jehovah.
That's a deep knowledge of who we are.
Jesus has such a deep knowledge of who we are. And then just... But how? They can't be specific. And it's also like you can't really know yourself that well when you're in a cult. So they have to say that there is this invisible friend who knows more about you than you know about yourself. And you can just trust that. Invisible
But it
guy
goes
knows
further.
about you.
He didn't just stop there. In Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 31, describing how he felt about the human family while making.
This is he's speaking so absurdly slow, and I can't speed it up because this like StreamYard's video editor doesn't have that feature. But yeah, there's something very dreamlike and hypnotic about this in a creepy way.
The human family. He said,
"You are getting
I
very
was
sleepy."
especially fond of the sons of men. So that's what he knows. He knows about
Did you say
our
especially fond of the
design,
size of men?
and he has a deep personal interest in us.
I just feel like
Is
if we
that
go
all?
back, it'll never end.
No. In Isaiah chapter 11,
Absolutely true.
it's foretold
Absolutely
that
true.
Jesus would not
My
judge.
sweaty ass would be taking the biggest after lunch nap during Jacob Rump's talk. This is brutal. And he just goes on, doesn't he? He just keeps going. All right, let's see what he's setting up anyway.
Disciple maker,
A little bit of
a
Rump
diligent
as a
teacher
punishment.
in the congregation, a caring shepherd, an organizer, a comforter, an encourager, a spiritual mother, a spiritual father, a brother, a sister. Jesus sees that. You might be thinking, no, that's not me. I'm not good at any of that stuff. That's the other brothers and
I
sisters.
suck.
That's why I love being here. They're so good.
He's so good.
But if we
Kind of
feel
sings
that,
"Oh Happy Day."
we're forgetting a very important fact. What is it? Open your Bibles, please, to 1 Peter chapter 4, and we'll see what that is.
Let us go to the source of facts. 1 Peter.
Referring to one another
1 Peter.
as fine stewards of God's undeserved kindness that is expressed.
Undeserved
through various
kindness.
ways.
That's what it's all about. You don't
What's
deserve
this
to be
verse
treated
telling us?
well.
Well, it's telling us that we
You're lucky that we are.
have received a gift from Jehovah God, an ability,
Jehovah.
a quality, and all he asks is that we use it.
Oh my god.
So what do we need to do? Well, we need to recognize
This
what
guy
our
is like a
gift
human
is.
hypnotoad.
What are we talking about? We're not talking about.
Yeah, what are you talking
going
about?
after a title, a position, something like that.
Like governing
No.
body member.
The motivation to reach out and to help others starts from the inside. It starts as we draw close to Jehovah through personal study, Bible reading, heartfelt prayer to Jehovah. Our relation.
Personal study, just reading their shit over and over again. Wow. Just a few sentences from him feels like many years of my life.
And
have
that
died.
is a gift that we all have. And that,
And
we
that
all
is a
can
gift
use.
that we all have. I am a
So
human
trust
man.
Jehovah. Trust that he will be able to use us and make up for any lack that we have in our abilities.
But when they say trust Jehovah, what they mean is trust the governing body, because of course they are speaking for Jehovah. They're your link to Jehovah. So this guy is giving a talk about how much Jehovah's Witnesses need to trust him. And I mean, you pause it on this face, and it does look like he's hiding a sneaky secret, a sacred secret, Gage Flegel might say. But we just don't know. We don't know how much this guy knows.
Now, think about that as you watch the
Seems
following
like
video.
I mean, he acts like a huge creep is what I'll say. Not to be mean, but he is creepy. Not to be mean, but he creeps me out, and I think there's something wrong with him.
My name is Brenda Woods from New York.
My name is Fermin. I am from Mexico.
Fermin. What does Jesus see in you? Help us out. What's good with you? What do you think your invisible friend sees in you?
That's a very good question.
Great question.
See me.
What does Jesus think of me?
We really stumped him with this one.
I don't really have many qualities, but maybe he'd find some.
Jesus, this is so sad. Hey, literally, Jesus, explain yourself for this. This is depressing. Wait, they just weren't able to answer? They just didn't know? They're like, I don't know. I have no self-worth. I guess Jesus might be able to find some good quality. And that's where we left it. I can't believe this.
When I was in the world, I came to realize that no one really cares about you.
Oh my
They
god.
just make fun of how you look, the way you are, and especially for me, because I didn't know how to read well since I didn't go to school.
Oh my god. In the world, nobody really cares about you. This is so manipulative. But sometimes we talk about sneaky tricks from liars, and this is one of their crafty, Satan's crafty acts, we might say, is like, they can't, like, you couldn't really show this as evidence in court, right? Because what they would say is, well, that's not us saying that. That's that guy saying that. We didn't say it. He did. We just made him say it for this show. But, you know, they can kind of put their doctrines in the mouth of members and make it seem like everybody is just miraculously coming to the same conclusions, independent of whether or not there's a cult leader.
All of that stuck with me.
Yeah.
All of that damaged me.
Pawn scum, but Jesus loves me for some reason. Ah, true love. Right. This is manipulation. Your worth is only seen by Jesus.
Decided to leave the organization. My
Oh
mom
my
made
God.
the decision, with me and my siblings, to leave the house for our own safety.
For our own safety. As if they become like a serial killer or something. Like, but Christina was pressured, I later learned, long after the fact, she was pressured by some of the family to, like, separate from me. Because they're not going to say it's doctrine, but through little videos like this, they reinforce the idea that somebody who leaves the organization is dangerous. Like, genuinely dangerous to your life, and you need to get away from them. Like, that's how intense the stigma is. I mean, it's why it's bullshit when they try and claim that shunning is some personal conscience matter, that it's up to each individual member. It's just not true.
So here we were sitting kind of in the back row at the meetings. I was in
The row of shame.
of other families, complete families. I would see how the dad would hug the daughter. And
So you were sad when you went to the meetings, and it didn't make you happy at all. But that was still somehow her fault, for just not appreciating them correctly.
I didn't let those feelings of worthlessness get the better of me.
They're the ones who reinforce the feelings of worthlessness, because it's Jehovah's Witnesses who say, you're dirt, you're pond scum. I like Jenny's analogy. Like, that is what it is. Like, you're worthless, and life is more than any of us deserves. And so it's the cult that gives people a feeling of worthlessness, and their only self-worth comes from the group, which is why it's so hard to pull people out of a cult, because that's the only thing, like, it becomes their self-identity, and to rip that away from them would be ripping away their own understanding, like of who they are. And so I think that's what's dangerous, is when you can't separate an idea from some, like, core part of
To
yourself.
my baptism, I said,
Otherwise,
I'm
like,
just going to do
your
what I
entire
can.
being will crumble.
like hall cleaning. helping
Right.
with the
Doesn't
literature,
this just acknowledge
and other small
that the group is miserable? That you can have a totally miserable existence as a Jehovah's Witness and somberly clean a kingdom hall by yourself while crying. And you have cancer and you can't really talk to anybody about it other than your congregation. Like, what a sad existence, but it's like you're suffering proudly for the cause.
was at the same level as others in the congregation. It's just difficult.
I didn't let those feelings of worthlessness get the better of me. After my baptism, I said,
Yep,
I'm
well
just
said,
going to do
Isaac.
what I can do. Like hall cleaning, helping with the literature, and other small things, right? Me,
I'm only good enough to do small things like cleaning toilets And that's about all I'm worth. That's what Jesus sees in me, is that I am valuable enough to clean the shitter in the kingdom hall. Like, they're treating it like it's this great thing, but this person's self-worth is through the floor. That's why he, like, this commenter said, I didn't let those feelings of worthlessness get the better of me, which is why I was stumped when trying to think of positive qualities that I have. Yeah, like, you're not allowed to think of yourself as having positive qualities that are in any way separate from the group. Like, the group and yourself have to become inseparable. Yeah, very bad. No good, very bad. Very sad.
I felt
mad.
comfortable with that. But when I thought about reaching out,
doing more free labor.
I felt like I could never do it.
I could never do something so amazing as carry a
myself
microphone.
doing anything in the organization. I never really felt like I was at the same level as others in the congregation.
Again, that's because Watchtower made them feel this way. I'm sure that this will be effective because people will be like, oh, I felt that way too. But I also think that it might be frustrating because I do believe that people on some level understand, like Jehovah's Witnesses on some level understand that a lot of their problems are caused by the fact that they're Jehovah's Witnesses and that things would be easier if they weren't. And so you have to kind of tell yourself that this struggle is worth it. The fact that this life is harder is worth it because there's going to be this reward in paradise. And so that's the other thing that you're kind of challenging too when you challenge somebody's cult belief is it's like all of that emotional energy, perhaps your actual money, your identity, all of that wasn't worth it and you wasted your time. And so like that's why it's so core to somebody's identity and why the sunk cost fallacy is very real because you really have sunk perhaps years or decades of your life into something.
I was making comparisons on my self-worth.
Yeah, because she's told to do
Because I
that.
always felt there was something lacking because
Yeah,
I didn't.
they're
come
told
from
to
an
think this
ideal
way.
family. Even to this day, I struggle with that.
Because you're told to.
I think about
And also
when
not
we
to, because
received
this
our
group is meant to
application
drive you
to apply for
insane.
Gilead, I felt like I can't do this. This is too much for me.
God. Pushing people to do emotional labor. Pushing people to do this emotional labor like past their own comfort level. And hearing them acknowledge that it was beyond their comfort level and it was too much for them, but they still pushed themselves over this mental hurdle that they had because the group was able to construct that hurdle and tell the group member that it was their fault, that it was there. Like, well, that's your hurdle. That's just your own imperfection holding you back from doing more with the group. And I think that's where it kind of gets tricky when it comes to consent, like informed consent in a group and how you kind of know and don't know things at the same time. Like you're just like, that's what cognitive dissonance is. I don't know what I'm saying. But yes, the phrase that people bring up a lot is this quote that they use from the Bible that you are a good for nothing slave. What I have done is what I ought to have done. I don't know. Some boring, redundant Bible verse like that. But yeah, the good for nothing slave. That's how you're supposed to think of yourself. And it's really gross. Gross to have a positive view of slavery in any way.
You know, they had the perfect family history. My circumstances, my past wasn't like theirs. So I just felt like, you know, I didn't qualify.
I felt useless.
I would be considered somebody from one of the good spiritual families. And hey,
Jehovah
see, it didn't matter. Here I am.
asked him for
Send me.
I continue to work hard.
I know, and it is sad because you can see the humanity in these people, and I never want the joke to be on them because they are victims in this. I tend to view the perpetrators of like people preaching the harmful doctrines from the stage as worthy of ridicule, but I don't know. It's a tough line because, as Ray France says, everyone's a victim of a victim.
When I got it right, I was happy. But when I got it wrong, when made a mistake, I felt really down.
Wow.
But I kept praying to Jehovah.
So we talk about infantilizing language from the leaders, and now you hear that reflected in the members. Like they're talking like they're babies.
Study really helped.
When I did good, I
really
happy.
helped me
When I
to
do bad,
examine
I
what was
sad.
going on inside, and it just really helped me to appreciate not to compare myself with others. Jesus knows me.
Am I crazy, or did she not have gray hair earlier?
According to who I am. Revelation 2:19 reads,
I know your deeds and your love and faith and ministry and endurance.
and that your deeds of late are more than those you did at first.
What Jesus says here makes me feel that he sees everything I do in the congregation.
Oh, it's so gross. It's so gross. Because it acknowledges that they don't feel happy or seen a lot, even within the group, where you're really supposed to recognize the achievements of your brothers and sisters and build each other up. But the lived reality is often very different from that, because people are disappointing. That's our great curse. Isn't that something that Luthen said in Andor? Yeah, Luthen. Sorry, I don't know why I had to make it about Star Wars again. I was afraid I was going to feel feelings. I'm Jesus. I see everything. So play nice. Jesus becoming
Jesus knows
one of Andy's, or no, Sid's scary
not in
toys.
comparison to anybody else.
Humans will human.
And so he would never ask me to do more than I.
These are genuine JWs, but I and a lot of witnesses have been a part of like your local assemblies, which are kind of a smaller version of the convention. Instead of playing a high production video, they would just invite somebody from a local congregation on stage and interview them. And so, yeah, it would really be you, like it really was me on stage a few times, but you hone your script, like you hone it down to the bare essentials and say, oh, say this instead of this, because we want to emphasize this larger point about Jehovah's organization. And so by the end of it, is it a real story? Is it not? Well, it's real in your own minds. And so, yeah, there are real Jehovah's Witnesses giving their real experience, but it's all been,
whether it's a lot or
like,
little,
finally crafted down to this.
Then that's good enough.
About 2 years have passed, and I said, you know, I think I'm ready. I just feel like, let's do it. Let's put the application in.
I want to keep improving.
There's something really demented about the idea that you have to fill out this legalistic application to see if they'll accept you to a higher rank in this imaginary social structure that they've invented. Like, oh, I want to be on the big boy club. Can I be in the big boy club? Oh, you got to fill out the paperwork. Okay. And then you send in your paperwork and like, no, sorry, we're actually full up for the big boy club right now. Just keep on full-time pioneering. Just give me 90 hours a month, please.
But I still feel like I don't deserve to be an elder in the congregation.
Oh my God! It's because you're constantly
Would you like to hear some
undeserved
comments
kindness
from brothers in your congregation.
Yes.
This is actually getting creepy, and I'm getting uncomfortable. So I'm going to fast forward. Sometimes if you stare into the abyss stares back, and that's what happened a few times here today. But we did it, folks. We got through Friday, morning and afternoon, I believe, and very long stream, but it was necessary. I mean, I got dressed up and everything, and we had wonderful attendance. It was very encouraging to see everything. I mean, frankly, it was good news.
Now, moving on, we see the good news wherever we are.
Yeah, in fact, I might even say that it was based.
That was based?
I don't know why it took such a long time to load.
That was based?
Anyway, like and subscribe. I'm probably gonna upload some previous reactions to these videos, I guess, or I don't know. But I am working on the next Elon video. It will be very different, about a different interview. Sorry, but I am committed to finishing that series. And thanks to everybody for watching. I know we've got some new subscribers. And if you endured this, you're a real fucking champion. And as far as I'm concerned, I owe you money. But legally speaking, I don't. See ya, everybody.
Welcome to the opening session of this Pure Worship Regional Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now,
join in the kingdom song.